just cut that part out.
Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast, everyone. This is episode 226, and we are live. A little late tonight, but Sean Anderson said, had surgery on back. Did I miss something? No, not right now. If you want to get in on this right now, we hope to have you guys on. Share it, like it, review it, turn down the volume if you're on the mic. Sean.
Wait a minute.
Welcome back, Sean Wilkinson, in front of the camera as opposed to in the garage, all, chained up to his chair like usual.
They let me out of my cage so I can come in.
It's nice. Good to see you again.
Yeah, you too.
Took the leash off.
So tonight, guys, we have Sean on. We've got Nate Hale, as always. I'm Steve Crane. Want to thank our sponsors, you guys, patreon.com/bourbon and BS podcast. Thank you very much for the monthly contributions. You guys help us keep this thing streaming, keeping it on all the audio platforms and all of the, just the help keeping this thing going. So if you guys want to contribute, it's a $5, $10, or $25 tiers, and that will get you, there's some explanations on how you get the t-shirts. But we appreciate that. If you want to do a one-time contribution, buy us a bottle that you'd like us to sample on here or anything else, Venmo at Bourbon and BS. So thank you to those that have done that. Again, love the support. Thank you to Tinder Box at Easton. We are smoking the Partagas Decadas tonight. This is the 2021. That's thanks to Tinder Box at Easton that carries this cigar, other Partagas cigars as well. Watch out for that microphone, Sean. It's going to little bite you.
Sorry about that, guys.
Columbus, Ohio, Tinder Box at Easton. Give them a shout if you guys need anything else, including anything from Altadis USA that they carry, which is our second sponsor. We have the Romeo y Julieta Reserva Real Nicaragua tonight as a second cigar. And thank you to Altadis and Josh Bentley for the continued support each year. So we appreciate that. BS Cigar Company, the gold and silver are available. Gold by Plasencia, the silver by Espinosa. Those are available at Tinderbox at Easton, as well as a couple other shops. And you guys can secure them as well if you reach out to podcast. We can get you in the right direction on that one as well. And you guys out there, if you like the shirts that we have on tonight, Nate and I have different colors, so they pour one more, light up another. We'll figure this out together. Shirts, which I get a lot of nice comments on. And the other one I get a lot of comments, Sean is wearing the When the World Hands You Some BS, light it up. Light it up, baby. And that's a 2020 shirt, which I think is still fitting today.
Mm-hmm.
I think will be relevant for some time now.
Yeah.
So buyjack.com/bourbon and BS. Got the 3/4 sleeve shirts on there as well. Hoodies for the fall, or these nice, cool summer nights if we ever get any.
I was about to say,
I mean, other people have different weather than where we're at.
That's
so,
true.
Anyways. So thank you guys very much. And put a reminder up there. Please drink responsibly. If you are at your home, everything else, just take care of yourself. Don't drink and drive, all that good stuff. Nate's always very careful, usually. If he has had a few,
I hang out.
Sticks around. And
thank God I get to work from home every day.
there you go. There you go. All right, so please drink responsibly. If you have any questions, anything, comments, watch us live, 7:30, 8 o'clock, somewhere around there, on Facebook Live and YouTube Live each week. We monitor the Facebook. We try to monitor the YouTube as well. But you guys, any comments, questions, all that good stuff. And without further ado, we're going to be smoking tonight the Partagas Decadas, like I said, thanks to Tinderbox at Easton. We're going to be drinking tonight Benchmark Full Proof, a bottle that I picked up on my trip back from Chicago. Kristen and I went to Chicago for her cousin's wedding. Saw her family, saw my family, hit up liquor stores as one would for liquor and wine. Secured some bottles of both, one of which was the Benchmark Full Proof, which is a Buffalo Trace product. And I know, Nate, you looked this up a little bit, so we'll get into that here momentarily. Part 2 is going to be summertime, or summertimes, what did I say? Never know. Summertime.
Summer love and sorry.
And 4th of July. So we're coming up on Independence Day here in the U.S. So we'll see what that conversation gets to.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to light up and I'm going to share this to different groups and to my personal stuff. And I encourage everyone to do the same. And Nate, let's talk about Benchmark.
This is a Forgot to unmute Sean's mic.
Good. That's good.
Everything I said, great.
Am I?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, cool.
Uh,
Because I just said
so-
a lot.
I said a shit.
I know.
Come on.
No, so yes, Benchmark is a Buffalo Trace product. Their basic one is the Buffalo or the Benchmark number 8, which for those of you that live in Ohio, it's the only one you can get in Ohio. That one comes in at $11.99. So that's going to be typically something that you're going to find on the bottom shelf. That's one of those that when I first mentioned to Steve the idea of doing a series on like the bottom shelf bourbons, who was it? Austin, who runs the Bourbon Collective Facebook page, is like, I'm sponsoring Benchmark Night.
There you go.
But no, so Benchmark now has 5 offerings. They revamped the labels. So there's the small batch, which is 90 proof, top floor, which is 92.5, single barrel, 95 proof, bottled and bond, obviously 4-year 100 proof. That's
Right.
the only one that is age stated. And then, believe it or not, the full proof that we're drinking tonight is their top tier. And this is coming in at a
skimp on this.
Yeah, this is coming in at 125 proof. Like I said, it's not available in Ohio. Steve, you picked it up in Indiana on your way home?
Yeah, we picked it up in Indiana. We saw some of the benchmarks, but when we were in Indiana stopping for a lovely Mexican lunch, because that's what you do on a road trip. You get margaritas and Mexican food. And so we saw another random liquor store on the exit. And so we stopped there, and they had 4 of them. Well, they had the smaller Benchmark 8s, and then on the shelf they had the what was it again? Small batch, the
bottled and bond,
the
single
full
barrel,
proof, and the single barrel. Yeah. And this was
so the only one they didn't have was the top floor.
They didn't have top floor that I saw. No.
Okay. Yeah. So this is the full proof coming in 125 proof. You said what? $25 you paid for this?
$25. I thought. I went to Chris and I said, this bottle has Nate's name written all over it.
Why is that, Steve?
$25 and 125 proof. Yeah. If it tastes any like remotely okay, I said Nate's gonna fall in love with this.
Which would be a shame because it's not available in the state I live in.
I'm just saying. Sorry to bring back something I thought you might like.
No, I appreciate you thinking of me in the liquor store. Like, I don't know what that says about me, but all right.
You absolutely
do. So Buffalo Trace, they do have several mash bills. They don't necessarily disclose those mash bills. So mostly it's kind of estimated over all the different products. This is using mash bill number 1, which is believed to be less than 10% rye in the mash bill. Mash bill 2 is going to be like a 12 to 15% rye. And then you have like the weeded stuff that's used in all the Wellers and then some of the one-off stuff. So just to give listeners an idea of what this mash bill is used for. So this makes your regular Buffalo Trace. This makes up most of your E.H. Taylors. So the small batch, single barrel, barrel proof, George T. Stagg, Stagg Jr., Eagle Rare 17, all the benchmarks, the old charter. Those are all coming from the same mash bill.
So that's some good company.
Yeah.
Clearly.
So obviously the mash bill works. They make really good, really tasty stuff with this mash bill. What's gonna, make this a benchmark product versus say a Buffalo Trace, E.H. Taylor, Eagle Rare is the age on it and probably where it's going to be in those rick houses.
Okay.
So based on price on this, even though it's not age stated, this is probably going to be something, probably that 3 to 5 year mark, I would guess. As Sean coughs.
We're drinking 125 proof neat, and it's 84 degrees after 8 o'clock in the evening here in Ohio.
This will put hair on your ass. Of course, I already have a lot of hair on my ass. So I don't know what I'm going to do. Anyway,
you want to turn his mic back off?
Yep. Got it.
All right, so let me see this. Can you hand me that bottle there?
Yeah, there's a little story about
story time. Are you okay?
Yep, good.
You want some more water, or do
Nope.
you want to drink some of the water I poured in there?
No, I'm drinking.
All right.
Neat.
Sour mash is on it there. So yeah, McAfee Brothers Benchmark Extra Strong, the bourbon standard of the highest quality, full proof Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey.
I agree.
125 proof. Full proof. This Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey is bottled at the same proof that it enters the barrel. Bold and robust, this 125 proof Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. It goes in a note, so I'm going to hold off on that. In 1773, three McAfee brothers named James, George, and Robert left Virginia westward to explore the uncharted territory that would later be known as Kentucky. Traveling by canoe at first, the McAfee Company eventually followed a native trail overland that led to the Great Buffalo Crossing, where the brothers surveyed the land now home to the world's most award-winning distillery, Buffalo Trace Distillery. The surveyor marks left behind are known as benchmarks, and this Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey honors the pioneering spirit of these early American explorers. It's real nice.
It's a nice story.
Could be a song, I feel like. Not a good one. A song nonetheless. What do we think of this? This is a screw top bottle. It is a nice classic bottle. This looks
kind of like a Jack Daniels
kind of
bottle.
like a Jack Daniels. This is something that, you know, can be on a nice bar. It could definitely be in a very dimly lit hole in the wall dive bar also. That no one orders except for people that come in. You're like, well, give me the strongest stuff you got.
Yeah.
That's it. That'll be $4.
Well, and I think the benchmark brand is like the basic number 8 is going to be kind of your well whiskey.
That's a brown bag bottle right there. If you can get a fifth for about, what was it, 10, 20, I don't know, 10 to 15 bucks. Yeah.
Yeah, I think in the state of Ohio,
It'll keep you warm all night.
I think in Ohio the fifth is $12, and
It's a steal.
The handle is like 18.
That is it's cheaper than Coca-Cola. Pretty much.
Yes, a kid. 2 12-packs of Coca-Cola are going to be more than that.
Jesus. So what do we think? Sean, you are making some noises as you drink it. So what do we you want to explain said noises?
Yeah, it's an adventure. It's like a big
It's an adventure. Get the fuck out of here.
I right off, like right on the front, it's very sweet, and you're like, oh, this is cool, and then
Go ahead.
as it keeps going, it's like, oh, you think I'm cool? All right, we'll try this, and so then you start to feel it.
Pow!
A Kentucky hug, Kentucky strangle. I'd ever called it.
Oh, come
No,
on.
I'm kidding.
Come on.
I'm feeling good now. First couple hits though were like, damn, but now it's starting to
That's
smooth
because
out a little more.
you're getting inebriated.
Yeah,
That's why it's
Quickly.
so good. Yeah.
but
It'll
it's
get you.
each drink and hitting my cigar, I'm enjoying it a little bit more.
Good.
I'll agree with that. Like as you sip on it, it does get a little bit sweeter, a little bit smoother. That first hit, I was like, ooh.
For you to
That's
say that.
I know, yeah, and I usually drink stuff that's like 120 to 140, and drinking this, I was like, oh, that caught me off guard.
I mean, you knew.
The finish, it was mainly the finish. A lot of spice, long lasting finish that just sits there.
Yeah,
and you definitely get a little burn because with it being a younger product, it's it hasn't aged out any of that harshness, so it's not necessarily going to be the smoothest whiskey.
Yeah.
But then again, someone who's buying probably any of the benchmark products, they know what they're getting into. They're not sitting there going, "Oh, I'm going to buy this because this is going to be something to this is going to be a great nightcap and great sipping whiskey." Like, nah, you're probably making Jack and Cokes with this or something. But I want to try my next glass, put a little bit of water in it, but I need more whiskey.
All right, here, coming at you. Coming at you. I feel like this is going to be a night.
I'm going to hold off as long as I can from the dropper because I don't know. To me, it's an adventure now, and I don't want to screw it up.
You can walk home if needed.
Yes, I could. Thank God.
We'll point you in the right direction.
Yep.
You go downhill,
Okay.
not uphill. Uphill is Sunbury Road.
Yep.
Bad.
My wife commented, ask if you're drinking out of a flower vase, your water glass.
That's a nice.
That's the
This.
The water glass, Sean.
No.
That is not. It's a Bass glass. Classic barware,
Okay.
otherwise known as my drinking glasses. It's a nice glass.
Mhm.
I'm pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
Honestly. Tim says sounds like a good one to pour some Coke into. Maybe the Benchmark 8. This is, I don't want to say better than I expected, but again, coming from Buffalo Trace.
Have you had any of the Benchmark stuff
None,
before?
Not to my knowledge. But like I said, when we were looking at it, and I joked with Kristen about the fact that, you know, this is right up Nate's alley. It's high proof. It's under $30. Like, if he likes it, this is going to be on his top list. And I will say it is a bit strong, but it doesn't taste young. It doesn't have any of that like real like
that corny,
like water type stuff that I talk about.
Yeah.
It's tough knowing what we know. If this was a blind taste test, I don't know I don't know if my opinion would change, because it's tough to be completely objective when you know what you're drinking, in my opinion. So this is something that if this was, you know, along with, because you got to remember here, people, like, we're joking about this, but $25 is about what Buffalo Trace is.
Yes, and that's 90 proof.
That's 90 proof.
Same mash
rares
bill.
in the 30s at a normal retail price, not where some people might be, where they're buying it for $60 to $100. But, you know, it's a $30-some bottle of booze that is highly, you know, looked at. I mean, people respect that. So Buffalo Trace being $25, you got Eagle Rare in the $30-some range.
Yeah, it's true.
And, you know, it's like, if Buffalo Trace with the name on it, and they had Buffalo Trace full proof, what are you expecting from that? Or what's the price point? Are you expecting $40? So again, for all of these Benchmark, the ones we mentioned, the single barrel, the small batch, the bottle and bond, the full proof, top floor, which I don't know about, but those first four were basically $20 to $25, all in that range. So when you see it on there, they don't hide that it's Buffalo Trace. It's on their website.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that you have these bottles of these certain things, again, single barrel, that's $20-some.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is full proof, 125 proof. That's $20-some.
Yeah.
That's incredible. You know what I mean? Like Old Forester puts out products that you know, like 100 proof.
Mm-hmm.
In the state of Ohio was 22. Now it's showing up at like $40. I saw on the website, but I mean, maybe it won't be that. I don't know. We're trying to figure out what that's going to be, but that might be the bigger one. Anyways, you're looking at these distilleries that have been around for a long time. So to joke about Benchmark 8, yes, okay, that's $10 for a fifth or whatever, call it. For this, though, to come in around the same price as their staple product of Buffalo Trace that everyone still seems to respect. It's not a mixer, it's a sipper, you know, something that people enjoy typically still. Same thing with Eagle Rare. You're not putting Eagle Rare in Coke at $30-some. So for this, you know, Benchmark 8, maybe I haven't had the Benchmark 8, but for this one, I'm looking at it as like, this is for $25. Okay. I mean, I'm enjoying it. I don't think this is a cheap bottle. It's inexpensive, but I wouldn't say cheap.
Okay.
It's starting to grow on me, actually.
After my description.
Yes, because of that.
Yeah,
exactly.
Thank you.
After having put a couple drops of water, it actually rounds it out a little bit on the back end.
Okay. I gotta try it.
Sean Anderson says in the comments, and again, I encourage you guys to share this and like it and all that good stuff. He says it's cheap because they take steps out of it. I don't think that they cold filter Benchmark, if I recall correctly. Yeah, I mean, this is something that, again, for the price, the product, I'm pleasantly surprised on this bottle. Yeah, and the fact that it's 125 proof, I think it is strong, but like we're all saying this, and I think it's possibly because, and I didn't do that whole swishing around thing, but I think it is that you're starting to get used to the proof. You're getting used to the product a little bit, so now you're tasting a little bit more of what it's intended to be.
Right from the get-go, and still a little bit now, even after putting 3 drops of water in my glass. For me, the dominant note I get on the palate is kind of that oak and char, and then it gives way to a little bit of sweetness. But then on the back, on the finish, you know, there's quite a bit of lingering spice there.
There is,
yeah.
But
I
does
can
have
feel
that
it all
sweetness
over.
that Sean mentioned before we went on air. We had a couple sips of it, and it does have some sweetness to it, right?
It does.
And then you get a heat, but again, I don't think it's going to be one of those bottles that is just going to really kill you. For 125 proof. Again, Nate always talks about, we sometimes do the game where it's like a blind taste testing, and it's not necessarily, what do you think it is? But there's so much out there, but it's like, what do you think the proof is part of that. I don't know if I could get this.
Really? You don't?
What would you guess? Like it's tough to say now that you know what it is, but
yeah, I mean, I definitely, if I was doing a blind test, I definitely would have put this over 100. That's for sure. What's difficult for me doing that, and probably for you as well, Steve, is we've had so many great whiskeys that have been in that like 110 to 130 range.
Yeah.
That have been very flavorful, but also pretty darn smooth for the proof.
Yep.
This one, I mean, the proof is definitely there,
You feel it.
but then like the flavor and the way it hits your palate, like that's also there as well. Like this is not, I wouldn't say this is a smooth whiskey. It definitely punches you in the mouth. Because I mean, it's bold. It's bold. It's not smoked. Yeah. I mean, it's not pulling any punches. But when we were talking before and you told me what we were drinking today, I was like, this can either be surprisingly good or this can go bad, because we didn't know what this was. We knew what it was. We didn't know what we were getting ourselves into. It's either going to taste, something like that's a pretty decent 125 proof, or this is going to be just like absolute dog shit, and we're going to have a miserable night doing this. But yes, I agree. I agree with you. Like, pleasantly surprised with the taste of this, given what it is and the price point. Like, it's not a bad bottle to snag if you get your hands on it and you like Buffalo Trace.
For my aviation friends, my first sip, when I first had it, I thought that could probably propel one of our jets easily. As strong as it was.
We could try it on one of the like oil stains in my garage.
Yeah,
you want to put it in your gas tank and see what
happens. But no, it's
with the price of gas these days, this might be cheaper.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
This is an additive.
Yeah, this is definitely it's like it's a new NOS now.
It's like an octane boost, like I get 87. I need premium. Pour a little bit of benchmark foolproof in there, and off you go.
You get Vin Diesel with Fast Five pouring the thing down instead of using NOS.
It's STP that you can drink.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely digging it now. It's starting to grow on me a little more, and definitely get more of the flavors, and again, still enjoying the adventure.
You get any of that like brown sugar a little bit?
Yes, that and the sweetness up front with the brown sugar. Yeah,
Nate?
I get more of it after adding water than I did before.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Where's that dropper at?
Right here.
Let me add.
Beforehand, like right off the get-go, it was just char. That was the dominant. That char and spice is dominantly what I was getting. After adding the water, like it rounded that out a little bit. You can still taste that oak char in there, but nowhere near as much as beforehand. And like I said, I only added 3 drops.
I did too just now.
But no, like, this may be one where, this is something you put in a rocks glass with a couple of ice cubes.
Yeah.
And, and that's the way that's the way you enjoy it.
You can. I'm enjoying it as it is. I just put 3 drops in there. So let me see what I'm thinking. Bobby says, stop taking selfies. I'm trying to do some promotion on social media. Thank you very much, Bobby. Good to see you on there.
Hi, Bobby.
Hopefully you stay it on. All right. Took a sip with some water in there. Yeah, I get more. Like, you're right. It gives a little bit more flavor. Takes away that. I do get a little bit more of the caramel and brown sugar on that. I'm telling you, this is not like, if it was, $50, $100, I don't know. But again, to stand up with some of the other Buffalo Trace products, like some of your basic ones like Buffalo Trace, Eagle Rare, I think this is something that is, if it was available in Ohio, I would probably, if there was nothing else out there that I really needed, I would put this in the category, at least this foolproof bottle, with an Old Forester 100. with like a Cooper's Craft here in Ohio that's like 20 to 22, and then the 100 proof is 29.
Yeah.
This is something that, you know, it can be on its own. Maybe throw an ice cube, throw a couple of drops in there, but I definitely think it's a respectable bottle. Whether or not it's Buffalo Trace, if we didn't know or whatever, like it, still think it's nice.
Yeah.
I mean, again, for 125 proof, you're not messing around there.
No.
But it does have a lot of flavor to it. It's not going to just be this young, like offensive type of a flavor, in my opinion. I think this is something that you might like. It's about $50. About what's Ray talking about? Oh,
Some scotch he had at his Saigon tasting.
Yeah, well, it was the La Santa, which we had on the podcast, the Glen Ranji.
Mm-hmm.
We did that a long time ago. Were you on that one, or was that Jake?
Probably Jake, because I think that was with Leo, wasn't it?
Could have been. Or Brad Grimsley. All right, so let's kind of move on here a little bit. So the second part of part one is the cigar. So we've been talking about the Benchmark Full Proof if you're just tuning in now. But tonight we are smoking, thanks to Tinder Box at Easton in Columbus, Ohio, is the Partagas Decadas 2021. You guys telling secrets? That's the guy.
I'm answering Sean's question.
So who's on this? I don't even know how to say it, really.
Ramon Cifuentes Jr. That's the little picture on the secondary band.
So Partagas has been putting out, I'm trying to see if I can find this, but they've been putting out this Decadas for several years. It's a reference to the age of the wrapper that's 10 years old. Let's see. While the company released the Decadas from 2005 to 2009, it went on hiatus. And then 2019, I think, was the first time they brought it back. Tinderbox did have that one.
Mm-hmm.
This cigar is in that $20 range. I mean, this is not messing around. This is a limited run from them. I don't know how many boxes they did. I can't find that information. No. Undisclosed. But it's an interesting concept from them. But they've typically, Partagas is known for using Cameroon wrappers on a lot of their stuff, the core line. That's what they've been using on this, was a 10-year-old Cameroon wrapper.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is the first time in 2021 that this was a Brazilian-grown Cameroon wrapper.
Mm-hmm.
So the interesting part about that, we had the first time, I think, that we had Ricky Rodriguez on, who just started. I can't wait. We're going to set him up on the show. We've already spoken.
Nice.
With West Tampa Cigars, which is his new venture. But I remember he was talking about Cameroon. He liked it. But the interesting part about Cameroon tobacco is that the government won't let anyone come in and buy their farm. So General STG Group, who owns Partagas in the United States, they can't go in and just buy some of these family farms in Cameroon. So you're buying them from the families, and it's a lot more difficult to secure or even to really make sure that you're happy with the quality of everything. So you're going through that. So the thought is that can you grow Cameroon seed elsewhere? And that's what this has on it, is a Brazilian grown Cameroon seed wrapper leaf on it.
Did we feature something else recently that had a Cameroon seed that was grown elsewhere?
Not to my recollection at the moment.
Because I remember I may have been talking about another cigar that's available at the Tinder Box at Easton. But yeah, it seems like there's some other companies are trying to experiment with that Cameroon and grow it elsewhere. So that way, they can actually have their own control over being able to acquire that tobacco.
I wouldn't be surprised, especially if this has a lot of age on it, as they're claiming. So interesting wrapper on that. But again, not your typical Partagas either, and especially for something that has this like kind of limited release. You've got on here in the filler, it's Dominican and Nicaragua. So Piloto and then Esteli, Jalapa, and Ometempe. So a lot of different tobaccos there, especially for Partagas, in my opinion. They're getting creative there. And the binder is a Connecticut Habano, USA. So
wow.
All over the board.
I smoked this before, and I remember looking it up, and I couldn't remember the exact makeup of it, but I just remember there was something different about this, and it's that wrapper and binder, Brazilian Cameroon and U.S. Connecticut Habano.
Yeah.
Typically with U.S. Connecticut, we think either shade or broadleaf.
Mm-hmm. So what I find interesting with this is there's a little bit going on here, right? So around $20 price point, right? I won't depending on what state they say MSRP is $17.99, but you're looking at, I think when it comes out with tobacco tax in Ohio on the shelf, it was about $21. Okay. So not an inexpensive cigar. The presentation is extremely nice to a point. All right. So what I will say, you've got these coffins that come individually coffined. If you look at our social media, you'll see a picture of the box and the coffin. Coffin's nice, good presentation. 2019, when they released it, it came in a nice box and they were tubed.
Glass tubes. Yeah.
So this time around, they're celloed, and then you've got this nice blue box.
If I'm not mistaken, that 2019 was also a much thinner ring gauge, more like a Lonsdale, wasn't it?
It was a different size. This is going to be a 6x52. So this 54. Is your typical. Well, that's interesting. 54. So it's 52 on half wheel.
Oh, 54 on the box.
53. Let's call 53.
Box
typical. But yeah, so you've got this really nice coffin. You got the logo, which is their new revamped logo in a sense. On the top of the box, you've got Ramon's name. On one side, you have Partagas Decadas on the other side. And then you even have a sticker on there. You got this clear plastic top to it. And then you have a sticker that says 2021 on it as well. That slides off, and then the cigar was inside. Here's what I'll say about the box. It's a very nice presentation. Now it's time for a visual aid. Most of the boxes, grab your glasses there, please, sir.
Both of your glasses, Sean.
Hands. This is the construction, which was frustrating because if I bought a box for $200 of 10 cigars, and I open it up, and that happens to it, which happened to many of the boxes. So sorry, Partagas, I got to call you out. Good effort in design, poor execution.
Just really bad glue.
Use better glue. So it says nothing about the cigar. Presentation was on point until you actually open the box, because this actually came in a nether blue paper around it, wrapped up like a gift with cellophane around it.
So
you rip that off, and then you got this, and you open it up. You're like, oh, great, this is awesome. You cut open the box, and all of a sudden it starts falling apart on you. You're like, well, what the fuck?
It's kind of like all the
supposed to do this.
Yeah. That packaging is just like a lot of the higher end stuff that comes out of Ernesto Perez Carrillo, like the Encore, the La Historia, where it's the box, the paper.
Those boxes don't fall apart though.
Those, yes.
So I'm gonna set this aside.
Thank you.
I kept it on there. Now you can see
specifically.
I kept it on there specifically for that example. Do better.
Can I say something about it?
No.
We do not expect Partagas to be sponsoring us anytime soon.
There's a Partagas sign somewhere around here. We can hang it up.
Is there?
Yeah. No, it's Macanudo.
Put it on the floor behind us.
We got Cohiba behind us.
Anyways, it again says nothing about the cigar itself. I wanted to make a point on that because as a limited edition, I am of the opinion that should have been caught. If it happened in multiple boxes, I want to say at the Tinder Box at Easton in Columbus, Ohio, they had 10 boxes of it. So you figure they're putting out there for a limited run where the 2019 didn't sell all that well for them. But yeah, sure, let's try it again. 2021, unique blend, typical size this time. And then luckily they use bins, so the boxes fit nicely in the bins. But think about a walk-in humidor.
Oh gosh!
And every time someone reaches in, they're like, I didn't mean to, but grabbed one of the cigars, I grabbed one of the coffins, and the other ones fell on the ground because the box fell apart. Mm-hmm. You got to think about those things.
Yeah.
And so that would be a problem. That would happen probably. I would assume they would have gotten some feedback that has happened, and now luckily you have them in coffins, and hopefully that protected.
Well, you have a retailer spending roughly $200 wholesale to buy the box. You have a customer spending up probably with certain box discounts. I mean, they're probably spending between $300 and $400 for that box, and
they take it home.
A box like that is like a showpiece.
One would think.
Yeah.
So I don't want to spend too much time on that. I just thought it was a point of conversation because it is something that was a little frustrating, especially I would imagine for people that did drop $400 on a box of cigars of 10 limited edition, and they finally take it out and they show it off. They want to put it in their humidor as is, and they have Scotch tape around it. Maybe electrical tape, maybe Gorilla Glue. I'm just saying. That's my point.
You gotta Flex Seal that shit, man.
Flex Seal? Nah, come on. I think that would give up. Anyways.
Loctite?
On the actual cigar itself, beautiful band.
Yeah.
It really is nice. This is a better presentation than 2019. I can't remember what the 2020 was. 2019 was a gray.
Dark gray,
kind
charcoal.
Yeah, it was like a gray color scheme.
Yeah.
And it doesn't pop. This is a much more presentable, in my opinion, color scheme with that beautiful blue and gold and limited reserve on there. And it says, Partagas 10, Decadas 1845. So Florfina. So, I mean, yeah, this is nice. This is a nice presentation. What do you guys think of the actual cigar itself?
Go ahead, Sean.
I got a shitty draw on it. So it's hard to get, like, I want to get like a full, pallet full of smoke and be able to retrohale it. And I just feel like I'm not getting that. So I'm not.
Your cut.
Sorry.
You got aggressive with it.
But it's, just a little tight. But I like the flavors when I get them, but I just feel like I'm not getting enough to get all the flavors I probably could get. They are good, but I'm kind of bummed about that, especially the price point to have something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Are your guys tight at all, or?
No, mine is not tight whatsoever. Damn. And looking at yours, like, I think I actually cut off a little bit less.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we did talk about before we went live, Sean, yours and mine had some small hairline cracks in the wrapper, but I did not remember that, as Steve mentioned, this is a Cameroon wrapper. Even though it's grown in Brazil, it is a Cameroon wrapper. Cameroon tobacco is a very delicate wrapper. It is very thin. It's hard to work with. That's one of the reasons why it's so costly at a lot of times. Growing season is another reason, but yeah, it is a very delicate wrapper, hard to work with. But what I do like about it is, so I like Cameroon wrapper. Steve, we work together. I don't think you're that big a fan of Cameroon, from what I remember.
So typically, no.
Okay.
But it depends on what it's blended with.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Sean, are you a big Cameroon fan?
I don't mind it. I'm
Okay.
kind of along with Steve.
So probably in the last 10 years, like I've actually really enjoyed Cameroon cigars. So when I actually bought one of these last year and smoked it,
This one. Okay.
What I do like about it is it does taste like a Cameroon wrapper, which I like. I like Cameroon tobacco. It just has this nice earthy flavor to it.
Does have earth.
If you're typically, if you're someone who likes Cameroon, you're like, oh, this got a very nice earthy taste to it. Kind of like a nuttiness, but not like a sweeter type of nut. Just an earthy, nutty flavor. If you're someone who doesn't like Cameroon tobacco, you're like, this tastes like dirt. There's not a whole lot of
earthy.
Yeah, it is earthy. There's not a whole lot of middle ground from what I have found in my decade working in the industry. Like, people either like Cameroon or they don't. There's not many people in that middle. It's not like, the 10 on 10 on each side and then 80 in the middle. Yeah. It's more like, 40 on one side, 40 on the other, and then maybe 10% in the middle.
But it's interesting though, because, again, from a sales standpoint, there are some big sellers for some big companies. So the Oliva G
absolutely
is a Cameroon wrapper, some Nicaraguan tobacco. I can't recall the exact blend on that one, but I mean, that's a huge seller for them and for a lot of retail shops, because first of all, price point on that one.
Oh yeah,
it's very aggressive for even Oliva. It's kind of in the same realm, but it is still kind of towards the bottom
like
of their
$7 to $9.
And then you have the Hemingway series with Fuente. So then you've got cigars like the Short Story, which is in short supply right now. No pun intended.
So you got that small cigar, and that's $7.95.
It is now, but when it gained popularity, it was much less. But I mean, it was
like a $6 cigar.
But you have the Hemingway Classic. You have these cigars that are big sellers. The Cohiba Red Dot.
Oh yeah.
There's another Cameroon wrap cigar that is going to be something with mainly, I believe, Dominican tobacco. You have La Flor's, one of their big sellers is Lito's favorite is the Cameroon Cabinet or whatever. What is that?
Well, so you have the Cabinet Cameroon.
Yes.
Lito's favorite is actually the 2000 series
Cameroon wrapper, though.
which is a Cameroon wrapper, and he specifically likes that number 3 size.
So I guess my point with this one, it's interesting that it's Brazilian grown. So I don't know if that changes at all. But again, with that Connecticut, what I say, Habano. So you have that Connecticut grown Habano. And you also have Nicaraguan, a little bit of Dominican, but mostly Nicaraguan, it seems, filler. So there's a lot of parts of that I do like.
Mm-hmm.
I do get a little bit of that dry earthiness on it. So that might be part of it being the Cameroon seed. But I do think that it does bring out a different aspect of it, being possibly, the fact that it's Brazilian grown. Mm-hmm. So the soil is going to bring a lot to that.
What's also surprising is, you mentioned in the filler, it's got tobacco from 3 regions in Nicaragua. Mm-hmm. And typically with Nicaraguan tobacco, we talk about it, especially in the shop and on the podcast. A lot of times Nicaraguan tobacco is known for just naturally having a spice to that tobacco. Mm-hmm. And this doesn't taste as spicy as what I would expect if you told me that this has got tobacco from 3 regions of Nicaragua in it.
Right. I don't think so. I don't know how much. I didn't look it up where you're pulling that tobacco for the filler, whether it be Viso, Seco, Ligero.
My guess is not a lot of Ligero because this does not come across like a
so.
fuller body cigar. This is like a straight medium.
And they always list, I feel like, Ometempe region last. But I don't get a lot of spice from the Ometempe. They always say Esteli first, I feel like, in the descriptions, because that's the big hitter, I think. You know what I mean? Jalapa as well. But it was Ometempe, right? Not Contega. I got to look it up.
Well, those are the 4 main.
Into circles.
Those are the 4 main regions, but you're right. A lot of companies do
Esteli, Jalapa, and Ometempe. So no Condega. So Esteli, Jalapa, but that Ometempe, I feel like cigars that are heavy in that. For example, the Plasencia. Is it the Fuego? No, Campo. One of them is heavy in the Ometempe.
I would guess the.
I think it's Fuego because of the volcanic.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because that's a fuller body, like bold cigar. I would expected
but it doesn't have much spice.
The Campo, because the Del Campo doesn't have a lot of spice.
My point is that I feel like anything that's heavy in Ometempe is not spicy.
Gotcha.
So that's where maybe they've used a little bit of that, to offset that.
Well, and I think
you guys mentioned that your cigars. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think that Connecticut Habano is where I'm getting that nuttiness from because I do like Habano tobacco, but usually it's that tends to be like an Ecuadorian Habano or Nicaraguan Habano. Something like the Punch Knuckle Buster is all Habano tobacco.
Yeah,
it's all from Nicaragua except the wrapper. The wrapper comes from Ecuador, and that's that tobacco to me typically has a nice nutty flavor to it.
Yeah,
and that's probably where I'm getting the nuttiness underneath that earthiness from this, from that Cameroon.
I'm looking at your construction. You mentioned thin wrapper. You mentioned some cracks on it. Sean's experienced the same thing. Construction issues a little bit. I already had Sean feel this, but Nate, I'm going to hand my cigar as it is right now to you. This is, I think, what they were envisioning, the one that I have. It's heavier. Is it? Or no?
Like initially that felt heavier.
Look at the wrapper leaf in the light. It's got a sheen to it. I don't know if yours does. It's a little darker, it looks like.
Definitely darker.
But it's got this nice velvety feel to the wrapper leaf.
Yours also, like looking at the ash on yours, your ash looks a lot more dense.
It is. I cut it slightly, and then I had to cut it a little bit further, so it's not below the cap. But once I cut it a little further, I had a great draw on it.
The draw's fine on mine. I got no issues.
The reason I'm handing it to you because this has weight to it. This feels
Sean's feels a lot lighter,
right?
Yeah,
and look at the wrapper leaf.
Yeah, it's blowing up.
It just does not. It's not the same.
It looks dull.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, going into this. That I think when we're talking about this for you guys that are listening out there is that even though we're smoking out of the same box and we're smoking the same cigar, whether they be $5 cigars or $20 cigars, And again, I saw Ray commented and you corrected it. I said 200 originally. You said 400 for the box. Now I
misspoke. Yeah.
$20, 10 count box. But I mean, I feel as though if you're going to be smoking a $20 cigar, mine is smoking and feels and looks like a $20 cigar.
Yes.
Yours doesn't. Mine looks again
Yep.
like a limited edition Partagas that I'd say, all right, if you get this out of the box, this is like, all right, this looks legit.
Mm-hmm.
And then you say it's got a 10-year-old wrapper leaf on it. Then you say it's got all this unique blend. You're smoking it. And yeah, you said my ash looks a lot denser.
Mm-hmm.
I would say when we're reviewing this towards the end of part 1 here is that we might have very differing opinions, but I think we all have to factor in most likely that there is consistency issues.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to say, go on, Sean.
No, I had one back in January. I got like a gift card for like $35. I'm like, I'm gonna go something high end. So I think Nate got me this.
Did I get you this one or the 2019, the thinner one?
You know what? I don't know.
I think it may have been this because this one may have been on sale.
But I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. And it was like but this is like completely different than what I had back in January.
Pepper on that retrofill too.
I got no pepper.
I just did on that one.
At the beginning of it, I started getting cinnamon toast crunch on the retro. God knows probably with the whiskey and I'm a little drunk, but the other one was
not at the start.
Yeah, and then more floral now. And you guys are all saying earthy. I'm getting floral. So God knows if it's even the same fucking tobacco.
Well, you have
a Philly blunt wrapped in a fucking wrapper.
Says nobody is buying this following the podcast. Luckily, it's a limited release.
You have different palate than we do.
This is something that, again, we are trying to be objective. I don't think that we ever really try to, even if we don't like it, we're going to dog it. But I mean, this is just honest, objective critique, and it's something to be said because we do, General Cigars and Partagas, that brand. And our reps and people that trust Partagas, if you're putting out an undisclosed amount of cigars and you're putting all this presentation into it, I got to be honest, between the box falling apart, we got 3 people that smoke cigars daily. 2 have been in the industry on the retail side for a decade, at least, smoking longer. And if they are all like the one I'm smoking, I would definitely say you're looking for something different, something unique, a limited edition. This is the one.
Yep.
Sean, looking at it, the way he's smoking, the way he's describing it, I would agree. I would say that no one's going to buy it.
Yeah. Well, I remember there was a gentleman that was coming into the Tinder Box on the weekends when I was working. And at the time, we actually had this cigar on special.
Mm-hmm.
And so he asked like, "Hey, what's that cigar on special? I want to give it a shot." And it's like, "Yeah, it's right over here. It's a $20 stick, and yeah, you're getting a discount because it's on special." He goes, "All right, let me get one of those for me and one for a buddy." So I'm like, "All right, cool." Selling 2 cigars is something we're trying to move. And then he bought another one before he left, and then he came in the next week and did the exact same thing. He bought the cigars again, and all those cigars that he smoked in the store, him and his friend, none of them were having the issues that Sean's having.
So that is something. So I, just on a side comment before we round out part 1, one of the ones that we hold dear and true to us is the BS, the gold and the silver. Well, I sent, Eric Goldhaber, who's been on the podcast before, he lives down in Kentucky. He bought cigars for himself that I mailed to him. He also bought for 2 coworkers 3 cigars each. One was a BS Gold. And he called me and he said, "Dude, me and my coworkers lit them up." And then he texted me today again. The 3 golds that we sent, they all had same construction issues. I said, "Really? That's my..." Wow. So Sean is one that smokes that cigar on a regular basis. Yep, and construction is never a major concern for us.
Never been. Yeah.
So that being said, that might be some of it, is that maybe this is just a bad box. At some point, maybe it was dropped, like whatever. That is something that, again, if you only had 1 or 2, but it could be something with that other shops have no issues with this, right? They open up their boxes. They're not falling apart. These boxes that we got at the Tinder Box at Easton, at some point of the shipping from the warehouse to UPS to something, like this could have been something that there was structural damage done to this, and it's unfair. I'm just throwing a disclaimer out there.
That's true.
That it's unfair that, and this happens with all cigars based on how many amounts of hands and the shipping and everything else. That could be as a potential disclaimer is that our shipping box was mishandled at some point, which they should package it so it protects that with bubble wrap or whatever protection they use. That could be it. The fact that the boxes are falling apart could not be, may not be the glue. The fact that these cigars are different, maybe it was mishandled. Just as a actual point that could be true.
And it's, I mean, we've seen it before. That's just the way it goes. Sometimes there's always going to be cigars where you're going to have a box and maybe one or two could be off with, a tight draw or it falls apart or construction. But I mean, overall, I'd like to give this another shot. Another, maybe this week or next week.
I'd be curious to know what quality control measures Partagas goes through. And the only reason
it's STG, it's general. It's good.
The only reason I say that is, like you mentioned, like the weight of your cigar.
Yes.
When I used to work for LFD, in their quality control room, they actually had a whiteboard and it had every size of every blend and what the weight of each cigar was supposed to be, and they literally had a group of ladies in the quality control room that weighed every single cigar individually. Wow! So they knew exactly how much cigar of each was supposed to weigh.
I've heard it the other way, where it's like they'll do like a 25 or a 50 like human wheel. They'll put that on there, and they know what that's supposed to weigh. Like for streamlining it, they know what that's supposed to weigh, and so if something's off, then they'll go and look at all those.
So it may have changed since I went there, because I went down to the farm and factory in January of 2014, and that's how it was written as per cigar.
Okay.
Because when I traveled with Lido, he was talking, because I had to get a whole bundle of 2000 number 3s because that was his favorite cigar.
Yeah.
And he knows exactly how many grams that cigar is supposed to weigh.
Makes sense.
Because prior to that, he had a big quality control issue, because some of the quality control people that worked for the company back then, or prior to when I started working for them, used to be rollers. And so they had friends who were still rollers. And so when they were weighing cigars that were wrapped and made by their friends, if there was an issue, they wouldn't flag it, because they didn't want their friends to get in trouble. And there was so much talk about so many construction issues with some of the products. And this was probably back in 2012.
Yeah.
So Lido literally fired all the quality control people.
Perfect.
And then hired a group of ladies that didn't even live in town, didn't even live in Santiago. And so someone from like one of the managers in the factory would actually have to drive out and pick these ladies up every morning, drive them to the factory, drive them home. And there was also a strict policy where the rollers did not interact with the quality control ladies whatsoever.
There's no conflict of interest at that point.
Yes.
That's a good story, a good example of how you can do that. I do want to get to the round out part of part one here, which is the rating. So for those that are listening for the first time, I know we have some YouTube listeners. I know we have a handful or a lot of Facebook listeners as well. Ray Chester says overkill. I don't know if he's talking about what we're talking about or what he means by overkill. So please, Ray, if you want to comment on that, what you mean by overkill. We tend to pound some things into the ground here. But with the ratings, so we do 3 ratings out of 10, 10 being the best. We have the whiskey, the cigar, and the pairing. You pouring yourself, you got to drink the first one, then you can pour more.
Okay.
God bless.
He'd rather pour one big pour than pour 2 little ones.
You can get you a pint glass. You can actually switch those, put the water in that one, the whiskey in that one if you want.
Forgot that
flour
water
base.
in that one.
All right. So with that, I do want to go. So 10 being the best, you do a whiskey rating, you do a cigar rating, and then the pairing. So again, if you guys are just tuning in live, and we'll have Sean kick it off here. Sean Wilkinson is a frequent guest. He's also in the live audience most weeks, unless he's traveling. So we appreciate the support.
And usually when Sean's not on camera and is in the garage, he at least stops by the Tinder Box and buys whatever cigars we're going to be featuring.
Correct.
So he's usually sitting back here smoking what we're
You
smoking.
want him to go and do it in that mic and
No.
the camping chair?
Let me go
No.
sit back in the chair.
Why don't you go finish
I'm just
that
saying,
outside?
like Sean does have a tendency to be smoking and drinking what we are as well.
Big fan.
Yes.
All right. So, Sean,
Yes.
your ratings, 10 being the best. Whiskey, which is the benchmark foolproof. And then a cigar, which is going to be the Partagas Decadas 2021, thanks to Tinder Box at Easton in Columbus, Ohio. Okay. And then the pairing.
Yep. So I'm going to go with cigar first. I'm going to give it a 7 just because of, and I'm being generous when I say that, because obviously the construction and whatever I got was a lemon, maybe. I don't know what you want to call it, but it's okay. I mean, it's for the money you get, you got to pay for. I wouldn't be happy, but I've had one before and I know what it's capable of doing or, presenting. And that's why I will give it, like to give another chance, but 7 for that. The bourbon, it's growing on me. I mean, it's, as much as I'm, reacting and coughing and stuff.
It seems like you love it.
It hurts so good,
Super
Steve.
smooth.
It hurts so good.
Baby,
I'm going to give that an 8. And then the pairing, I mean, I'll give out an 8 as well, just because I'm not getting much of a draw. It's hard to see what complements one thing or another. I mean, it's okay. Again, I like to try another cigar where it's a little more, a little more well constructed. And I think I'd put maybe a higher one, but yeah, 8 for the pairing.
Smoke mine?
No, I'm okay.
Okay.
So
Nate, go ahead.
For me, I think maybe a cigar that may have been a tad stronger and heavier in flavor might go well with this. I'm not sure that this Partagas stands up necessarily to this bottle. On the bottle, I'm a 6 on the whiskey.
Ooh, not what I expected.
It's still
Wow.
like that.
It's $25, Nate.
I know.
Come on, man. This is your wheelhouse.
Jesus Christ.
$25 is my wheelhouse, but
Cool.
no, I mean right off the rip, this bottle was a little rough. The first few sips.
I think it's because we bought it.
No,
Yeah,
It's Kristen's fault.
Kristen's in the garage.
no, I still want to try.
She's gonna leave. Shortly because of that.
I still want to try the the regular benchmark that we can get here in Ohio, the number 8. Like still,
So the fact that there's a cheaper bottle
because
that's the thing.
Because we've not tried it
We're
before.
gonna get benchmark 8 on here, and he's gonna be like 9. I mean, but he's gonna I'm not gonna buy it. Nate's gonna buy it.
I got a handle of it.
Yeah, I got a handle. It's like $15. This is amazing.
No, I'm probably not.
God damn it.
No, I mean,
What if I gave you $5 right now?
if
You bump it up to 8.
I'm gonna cut the price down to 20. Where are we at now? 6?
7.
7.5? Oh, hey. All right, now we're talking.
No,
All right.
so it, I mean, Steve, you and I joked about this bottle before we went live, and I was like, this was a little, especially after having a few sips and adding some water to it. Like adding the water to it bumped it up a point.
You had it at a 5?
No, like I would have it as a 7 with the water probably.
Oh, all right.
But like on its own, as is, like those first couple sips or that first pour, I should
know,
say.
we tried.
No. Hey, 6 is still above a 5,
Bang
so
that ball from now on.
this is still not the worst
I'll
thing.
pour out the rest.
This is
Here,
still-
we can pour this out in the toilet.
This is still not the worst thing I've ever had on the podcast. So
Jesus.
Remember, Russian judge.
remember,
You gotta take the
no.
Russian-
Remember, there was a
Bobby
whiskey.
Hirschman says, Kristen, praying for you being at this show.
No, remember, there was a
That's
whiskey.
aggressive.
There was a whiskey that I rated a 2.
All right,
so
moving on. You don't like it.
it's not my favorite. If this was available in Ohio, like I don't really
Not
see
good.
myself trying this. Like
I'd buy it and
I would
pour it out.
definitely be interested in trying the bottled and bond because that one's age stated, 100 proof.
Okay.
I can compare that more easily to other bottled and bond products.
I got it.
How
How about this pairing?
you want me to give the cigar?
Go ahead.
So I'm a 7 on the cigar. I agree with Sean on that one.
Yeah.
I'm a 7 on the cigar. I've smoked this before. I did like the flavor. $20, that might be a little bit of a stretch, but I do like the flavor. I like Cameroon tobacco, as I mentioned before.
Yeah.
So I do enjoy this cigar. We've had a couple cigars on here that have been cracked. Obviously, the construction with the box, that would be an issue if you're someone who's buying a box, or if you're a retailer who displays boxes on the shelf. That would be a major red flag.
Yeah, what do you do if it's already, what I mean? Like it's broken, right? So like you open it up and you set it on there and pieces fall off. You're like, well, shit, now what am I going to do with this? $20 cigars.
Hopefully you have another box, open that one and put it on the shelf and then just restock that one out of the broken box. That's what we had to do at my old. That's what we had to do at my old shop. And then as far as the pairing, I'm a 6 on the pairing because I think this whiskey overpowers this cigar. And sometimes going like from the whiskey or going from the cigar to the whiskey, like it made it taste hotter than what it was originally.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're a great pairing. Like I said before, I gave my ratings. I would have been more interested in trying this with something that had a little bit more body, not necessarily full body, but something just a little heavier and a little bit richer flavor.
Yeah.
Because the flavor on this cigar, while it's there, it's not an overwhelming amount of flavor on the palate.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like medium body, but it's also medium in terms of the flavor strength. So I think it gets overshadowed by the whiskey.
I'm thinking medium light, man, because it's maybe because of the way that this particular one is, just probably getting anything.
So I'm going to be a little different from you guys.
I gave 8 to the bottle, right?
Yeah.
So, no, I mean, again, you guys are being objective. I'm messing around. The bottle, again, I think I'm going to stand by my statements earlier. I think for $25 coming out of Buffalo Trace, I'm pleasantly surprised by this. Again, at that price point, I think this is something that 125 proof is going to do the job, first of all, for sure. Yep. Flavor's there. It doesn't taste young. It doesn't, like you said, there's no age statement. This is something that I think that this is it's an interesting bottle because of the price point. I would like to try the rest of them. And in fact, if next time that I see them lined up, I would probably buy the other ones. Cause again, you're at like $60, $70 for 3 bottles to try some different stuff from Buffalo Trace.
You're gonna have to go, but again, you're gonna have to go out of state for those because the only one
where we're at, you have to go over the border there to like Richmond or whatever, to Indiana. Maybe
currently, we just have like the number 8, which is going to come in at like 80 proof,
right?
So
so my
different.
Still, I'm gonna stand by my point that I would probably pick up the 3 bottles that were also out there. We had someone say that the top floor is a really good bottle too. I don't know much about that one, but this is something I'm gonna give it 7.5. I mean, honestly, I think this is something that for $25, I mean, this is not going to be this whole wow thing, but I'm very curious on why for $25 at this, and maybe people agree more with you, Nate, that it's not as good as like a Buffalo Trace, where Buffalo Trace is this whole thing, $25, like, oh man, this like it's not been overlooked. Blanton's is now being overlooked by saying, I don't know, Blanton's is okay. Where like 5 years ago, like Blanton's was the
different mash bill,
be all, but still from Buffalo Trace. My point is that Buffalo Trace still, if it's out there, like most people that I talk to, they still enjoy it, especially because it is $25. That is a very good bottle of whiskey.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that this doesn't have more of a following.
Well,
personally, that's where I'm at.
Well, we don't know because this is not available in Ohio, so we don't know anyone like locally that comes in or we talk to or hang out with.
If you look it up online, you're not going to get a secondary value on this, in my opinion. And again, where we were at in Indiana, this was like stocked fully.
Mm-hmm.
Did they have Buffalo Trace, Eagle Rare, Blanton's? No, they had all these. So that's my point, is that it's not as sought after from my perspective, at least. So 7.5, I think it's a good bottle. I think this is enjoyable. I wouldn't mind having this. Again, if I was going out to the store and they were readily available, I would put this in the same caliber as like, even though it's higher proof, and it'd be interesting to drink the bottle and bond, like you said, and the single barrel and the small batch. Old Forester 100, like a daily drinker that I like, and it's cheap. I don't mind killing a bottle with friends or over a period of weeks. It's like, oh, I'm out of my benchmark full proof. Yeah, I'm going to pick up another bottle if I see it. That's fine. The cigar, again, I mentioned before we got to this point that I think that we're going to have different reviews on this. My cigar smoked very well. The construction was perfect. It drew well. Again, that's why I literally handed it to both of you guys, because like this smokes like a $20 cigar. Whether you like it or not, I'm gonna give the cigar an 8.
I would too if it would smoke what it's supposed to do.
Not my favorite.
Well, we ran into that issue last year when we smoked the Brasilia Gold. Like, you love that cigar. We just had some construction issues.
So what I'm saying is that I think this is a very enjoyable cigar. If you like it, it's my, I guess, caution there is that it is not a consistent product from what our vantage point is. And maybe other people have had better luck with it. I would encourage you, if you go into a brick and mortar that has it, maybe ask the tobacconist, have you guys had construction issues on it? If they say no and you trust your brick and mortar, your local brick and mortar, then absolutely buy one, because medium bodied, it has good flavor in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It has a great retrohale. It's not as, when you see the Cameroon wrapper thing, the fact that it's Brazilian grown maybe, but I get hints of the earthiness, but it's not overwhelming. It's not dry to me. And again, I'll reiterate, my cigar, this one that I'm smoking, is so far flawless in the construction, which I feel bad, for you guys that it's not, you know what I mean? That's the problem there. The pairing though, I get what you guys are saying. I would give the pairing an 8 because I still get a lot from the cigar.
That's the same as Sean.
Okay. So I give it an 8 because I think they stand up. It's an ironic pairing because you have this one cigar is almost the price of the bottle.
Yeah.
So that was the whole point of it, is that the way this all panned out, I didn't know if I was going to use this bottle tonight that we picked up on our way back from Chicago this weekend. But like when we had this, I said, all right, well, let me look at this ironic pairing. Is that let's do this.
Is this like the highest end Partagas that's available? I know Partagas has started to do some more blends. Like they used to be known for like the Partagas Black and the Cifuentes, like very heavy, full body in your face cigars. But they've been coming out with some different stuff now and expanding their portfolio.
Yeah, but the
kind of like
Cortadas, like that was a real light one. That was a Connecticut shade.
Yeah, but then like they've had that gold and purple label ones. The purple ones that extra.
Yeah. This is much higher end than that.
Yeah, so this is what I'm saying is like this is like the highest end Partagas.
To my knowledge,
this is also the highest end benchmark.
Correct, I can see that. Yeah.
Do they sell the top shelf here in Ohio or no?
Top floor?
No, the regular benchmark number 8 is the only one in Ohio.
Okay.
All right. So my point was that it's an ironic thing that the cigar costs as much as the bottle.
Yes.
We
don't have that very often.
I agree. That's once again, that's my point. Thank you. I understand what you're saying, that it is the highest benchmark in this. I don't know what the top floor costs, but I mean, again. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a decent pairing. I'm actually pleasantly surprised by the bottle. I'm pleasantly surprised by the pairing. I'm not happy that your guys' cigars didn't smoke well. Mine
smoked fine. Wrapper had a couple cracks on it, but it still smoked and has been burning fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I held yours in my hand, like yours just felt heavier.
Yeah. That's the way it should be, I think, for that price point.
You're talking about cigars, right?
Okay. I'm going to round this out, and I'm very weary going into part 2 here. Part 2 is going to be summertime and 4th of July. We're going to talk about kind of some of your favorite summertime memories, things you like to do, traditions, things like that. 4th of July, I think, over the last few years especially, has been interesting.
There hasn't been.
Well, there hasn't been as many gatherings, but just with all of the in our country, the world, but especially celebrating Independence Day, it seems that almost like, maybe it's my perspective, and we'll get into this a little bit, but like right before we're getting into the middle of summer, some shit's hitting the fan.
Yeah,
and it's like some people want to celebrate it, some people are so upset about stuff. So, just the 4th of July, try to keep it as light as we can with some positivity going into this summertime that we're in, middle of the summer in the Midwest in the U.S. So I want to thank you guys. If you're listening live, just stay tuned through the intermission. And if you guys are listening on the audio or you're just tuning in now, we're about to get into part 2. Click over to part 2 on that. But I do want to thank you guys that continue to support us on Patreon. It's patreon.com/bourbon-bs podcast. These guys, I think, are getting drunk over here. If you guys want to do that, $5, $10, $25 tiers. Venmo at Bourbon and BS if you guys want to buy us a bottle or do a one-time contribution. Stuff really helps us keep doing this. So if you're enjoying it, please show us the love if you'd like. And at the very least, I had it up there. Share, review, all that good stuff. You guys are amazing on that. And thank you, Tinder Box at Easton in Columbus, Ohio for the Partagas Decadas 2021. And also Altitus USA. We've got a Romeo y Julieta Reserva Real Nicaragua, which is by AJ Fernandez. I think we reviewed it before on the show. Another medium body cigar. So I don't know if it's going to really do what you're wanting it to do, Nate, having a fuller flavored cigar, but with this bottle. BS Cigar Company, the gold and silver are available. Check them out as well. You guys can contact us at the podcast or check out Tinder Box at Easton when you check them out. And they do sell both the gold and the silver. And if you like the shirts, we've got the podcast shirts on. Nate and I do the Pour One More, Light Up Another. We'll figure this out together. I've had a lot of people look at it, they read it, and they kind of chuckle. I like that. Buyjack.com/bourbonandbs. Sean's wearing the 2020 shirt, now 2021, 2022, and so on. When the world hands you some BS, light it up.
I got some comments on that shirt on Sunday.
Yeah. So it's amazing what you come up when you're drinking. Guys, thank you. Cheers. Happy Whiskey Wednesday to part 1. We're going to go into part 2 here momentarily. Enjoy your week. And if we don't see you, you don't listen to part 2, happy 4th of July. Happy Independence Day if you're in the U.S. Enjoy your summer.
No, I was telling him he was getting ready to clean up the ash. And I was like, wait till the intermission to clean that up.
You need a dustbuster.
Got one. It's a gift.
Thank you, Christian.
Are you eating ash right now?
No, I'm not eating ash.
Could have sounded weird. That sounded weird on the mic.
Ash or
you'll edit that out.
Ash. It's the intermission. You don't have to edit it out.
Well, it'll still be on the video, but not on the.
Word,
I don't know. Hope you're not. Thank you.
What was that?
There's a dustbuster.
Oh, okay.
God bless you, Kristen.
All right.
She's trying to tell you something, Steve.
Happy 4th, fuckers.
I've got a nice vacuum and a Swiffer.
Are you leaving?
I would too.
Oh, it's going to get good, man.
Well, I will watch from
Afar.
the comfort.
Watch from afar.
Enjoy your evening. Everyone say goodnight to Kristen.
Night,
Good night,
Kristen.
Love the dress. It's beautiful.
Bobby says, where's Tony? He's inside, man.
We have the garage doors up, so we have to have Tony inside, so that way he doesn't run out and start running through the neighborhood.
All right, let's go.
On the side.
All right.
Well, wait till, I was about to say, wait till Kristen leaves.
Watch it.
Well,
All right. Yeah, wait till the brights are on. Jesus. Oh my God.
Bobby, she had a microphone. She just refused to get on the microphone. She just decided to send Steve little
Me?
subliminal messages.
She didn't. She's commenting to Bobby.
Yeah.
Oh man, hope you guys are enjoying the show tonight.
I think they all want. Or at least Sean. Yeah, he wants Kristen to
I
stay.
think I'd try to keep the best voice of reason in the garage, so get Kristen to stay. Sean, as long as you're still on the feed, Kristen's watching as she drives home. Perfect. Kristen, if you're watching live as you drive home, please keep your eyes on the road. Better?
Yeah, okay. Doing okay.
Doing all right.
What's going on?
Everyone's asking Kristen to stay, even though she's not even on the. She hasn't said anything. She hasn't been on the camera. Everyone just wants her to. She needs to come to West. Now Bobby wants her to come to Westchester. Jesus Christ. I mean, I get it, but kind of
Go to Westchester, get a bite of the cheesesteak or the Pretzel.
Whatever you want.
Yep.
It's a strong bottle.
It's a little bit.
Yeah.
I noticed that when I got up to use the restroom. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You could feel her presence. All right, guys, calm down out there.
Oh, she's listening on Bluetooth.
I have you on my Bluetooth. Perfect. All right. Well, hopefully the force is strong with that one. Hopefully, even though Kristen's not in the garage, you guys still want to comment and listen to the show.
Fuck the viewers went down to 0. What happened?
Yeah. The lights turn off. Like, Jesus.
That's
You guys ready?
went out in
Yep.
Georgia.
All right. As the ghetto bird flies across the neighborhood. Perfect.
Roll them up.
Pardon me, Holmes.
Yeah.
Can we say that anymore? I don't know.
What'd you say?
It's a vacation reference.
Yeah.
When you got,
Bobby Hirschman. Nope, I'm out. Good to see you there, Bobby.
he'll be back.
Go fuck
He
yourself.
always comes back.
Or as you say, eat a dick.
Eat a bag of dicks, Bobby.
You can actually mail those out to people.
Okay.
A bag of dicks.
All right.
Oh, sorry.
Children.
Okay.
Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast, everyone. This is episode 226, part 2, Beyond the BS. We just rounded out part 1. We were drinking the Benchmark full proof. It's 125 proof, so this might be an interesting part 2. Still sipping on that. There's about half a bottle left between the three of us. And it's a stout bottle. We're also smoking. I'm still smoking the Partagas. Are you still smoking that, Sean? Or are you going to light up your Reserva Real Nicaragua?
I'm gonna get my 25 for $20 worth of this shit, even
Didn't
though
pay
it's,
for it.
you have to say that.
No, but
We're
Brian
smoking
did.
the Partagas
Get Brian's
Decadas 2021 still. So check out part 1 of 226 if you're just listening to part 2 on the audio, or if you're just tuning in live now. We talked about both the bottle and the cigar, and we appreciate that. The sponsors, Tinder Box at Easton in Columbus, Ohio, for that Partagas that, Sean, you didn't pay for.
Wow.
Sponsor.
I offered, motherfucker.
You're on the show.
Okay.
I feel like a thank you to Tinder Box would be more.
Well, thank you,
appropriate.
Tinderbox, but
There you go.
don't make me.
Don't know box.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right.
Thank you,
Altitude
Tinderbox.
Altitude USA for the Romeo y Julieta, the Reserva Real Nicaragua. We're going to be lighting that up as we get into part 2 here. And thank you, Josh Bentley, for the continued support. And hopefully we can continue that relationship. The BS Cigar Company, gold and silver, are available. Gold is made by Plasencia, medium bodied. The silver is by Espinosa. And we worked with Eric directly on that one. And that's more medium to full with some more pepper to it. If you guys like the shirts we have on, if you're listening to the audio, basically the podcast shirt says, pour one more, light up another. We'll figure this out together. If you guys are interested in that, buyjack.com/bourbon and BS for those shirts, along with the one that Sean has on, which is a BS Cigar Company shirt, which is when the world hands you some BS, light it up. We've got some podcast shirts for the ladies as well, the V-necks that's available, and we have some BS Cigar hoodies, podcast hoodies. We've got the 3/4 sleeve, which is a BS Cigar shirt as well, and 4 different colors, which is great. So
And
Tyler
there's
Jones
also
was just-
the BS silver shirt.
yeah,
Focus on the silver
focus on
lining.
the silver lining.
Yes.
If you guys are ever thinking about trying to come up with a slogan, I recommend whiskey.
Lots of it.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, not really into the drugs side of things for creativity, but whiskey is good for it. So thank you guys very much. If you guys want to contribute to the show, patreon.com/bourbon and BS podcast or Venmo at bourbon and BS. The Patreon thing is nice because it's continuing. It's automatic. It's $5, $10, $25 here. And if you do that based on what you do, we'll send you one of the podcast shirts. So
Yes.
guys, thank you very much. It keeps the lights on. It keeps us streaming. If you guys enjoy this, you enjoy watching it, learn something. If you want to make fun of us, whatever, that is good. So that benchmark will lead to a slogan.
Can I
Possibly. Yes.
just
Sean, go
rest
ahead.
in the fact that every time I take a drink of that, I'm going to make a face and cough. It's just part of the journey. So you know that.
Yeah. I'll get an Uber for you to the back of the neighborhood.
It's not the destination that matters.
Nate,
It's the
you
journey.
might have to drop Sean off.
Okay. You just give me the cue.
Okay.
All
right, so
third base
tonight-
I
coach?
can see you right now. I can't see this one, but I can see that one.
Exactly. That's why I told him to give me
All
the
right,
cue.
so the topic tonight, guys, and also please drink responsibly. We are being responsible. Sean's in the neighborhood. Nate will taper off or will stay later, just so you guys know. We don't typically have people, we try not to have anyone that drinks to beyond their normal capacity and then drive out of the garage. So we try to do the best we can with that. A lot of our guests that come in from the industry, they either will Uber to their hotel or they'll crash here at my place. So we try to do our best on that. So please drink responsibly wherever you're at all the time. And if you guys have any questions, comments, comment on the feed. Facebook, especially on live, share it, review, like it. But yeah, definitely get it out there. We'd love to have more people part of the conversation. And the YouTube we're trying to monitor as well. The topic tonight is summertime and the 4th of July. So we're coming up on the 4th of July, Independence Day in the U.S. Summertime, we're in the thick of it right now. It's warm.
Mhm.
It is at 9:30. It's still over 80 degrees here in Columbus, Ohio. You can see it glistening on my my head there. Don't say.
I just said,
I know, but it was
I mean, no, it's not
Condescending.
listening.
It was the way you did the hum. Like,
it's the way you said it. All right, so
Lightning
summertime.
bugs. Lightning bugs are out.
It's summer, man.
Yeah.
Sean, I asked you if you had any thoughts on topic being on tonight. You said something about summer. It's like, what are your thoughts on the whole summertime? Is it the nostalgia thing? Is it favorite memories, traditions? What are you trying to keep alive with your family? The 4th of July, obviously, like I mentioned at the end of part 1.
Mhm.
What are your memories with that? I mean, there's so much to unpack there.
Sure.
And where you're at now in your life, where we're at as a country, going through this summer, the last several summers, 2 years ago, the summer was a very, very
Sure.
volatile time for our country and the world.
Mhm.
And we're right back in the thick of it right now with what's going on in our
Mhm.
country all across the board.
Mhm.
Just to focus on the U.S. with it being Independence Day, we have things like I heard, haven't looked, but in conversation in Columbus, we have a big celebration. Columbus, Ohio, red, white, and boom. They're dropping close to $500,000 on a 27-minute show
Mhm.
of fireworks.
It's one of the best fireworks shows in the country.
Yeah.
It's fantastic, and it's just like, I guess, Sean, what did you have in mind getting into this? With that being said,
Well, kind of what you said earlier, just the way this last week's been, it's been kind of a rough one for a lot of people, for everyone. And I just wanted something a little more, not that, a little more lighthearted. And I just thought that, for me, summer is like, as a kid, it was like I lived for the summers. I mean, back in my day, it was like you left in the morning and then came back after it was dark. And whether
the
your
street lights are on.
Yeah,
streetlights.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And whether it's you're playing with your friends or you're going to the pool or whatever, there's always something to do. And I think living in the area where we are, where there's fall and winter and spring and summer, you learn to really appreciate that much more because you don't have that year round. So when you do have that, you make the best of what you can. And it's so easy to do. I'm loving it now. Like I live down the street from Steve, and there's some new families moving across the street. There's probably 12 to 15 kids out every day playing. And, we've been there for 21 years and we watch kids like get to that age, grow up, and then it goes quiet. And then now there's a whole new batch of kids, and it's just,
It's the way neighborhoods work, really.
yeah. And
a lot of times.
Yeah. And it's just, for me, it's like the whole thing, whether it's the fireworks, whether it's going to the pool, whether it's do whatever you do, it's just, the days are longer. It's just, the way things are in this world is take advantage of that. Take advantage of the weather. Take advantage of just, walk away from your phone or your computer if you can and just get out and enjoy it.
Well, this is also the time we see a lot of families take vacation, especially if they have kids, because the kids are out of school. They don't take many vacations necessarily while the kids are in school, unless there's a like a winter break or something like that. But the summer, if you take a vacation winter break, where are you going? Somewhere that's usually warmer, unless you're going on a ski trip. But yeah, the summertime is when we see a lot of families that have kids. That's when they take their vacation.
Yeah,
because the kids don't have to miss any school or anything like that.
And I think,
I mean, it's just that's the time where maybe in some other businesses, things are a little bit slower. So people are able to take more time off of work.
Certain businesses, I mean, they're slower, but I feel like it depends what business you're in.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. I think the summers go, especially as a kid, they went way too fast. And even now it's like, especially as a kid, man, because it was like, if you look at it nowadays, like my kiddo, they get out of school and Memorial Day weekend or right before that, they go back like the first or maybe second week of August. So they only have a couple months.
Yeah.
And
it has changed.
Yeah. And
it's even less time if they play sports in the fall. Cause like if you have football or any of the other fall sports, like you're starting practices and stuff like that before school even starts.
Yeah. I played soccer in high school for 4 years. And I remember like we would get out like first, maybe second week of June. And then we're back in the beginning of August. So we have less than 2 months.
Yeah.
So, and then it's, in high school or even college level, when I played, it's over in the 1st of August when everybody else is still having fun. It's like, shit, man. But you make the best of what you got,
I think the pure part of summer back, again, I was born in 1980. So it was, as a young kid, it was even before video games, really.
Mm-hmm.
Video games really came. Now, granted, I mean, like, Nintendo came big late 80s. So, I mean, I wasn't that much older that I wanted to stay inside sometimes and do it. But, I have that suburban thing, and I'm not going to get into whether or not I'm just going to talk light here. But it was, you get out, you enjoy things. We would play, Little League. That was summertime, school's out. We had a great neighborhood, to your point, Sean, at that time, where you were playing wiffle ball. You were playing backyard football.
Riding your bike in the neighborhood.
Riding the bike in the neighborhood. I mean, it was just, the ice cream man. I mean, like all that stuff. I mean, you get back to that. There's still that out there now. But, I mean, looking back at that before you got into, high school, and like if you were playing sports, that was really already your job, or if you had a summer job when you were a teenager or what have you, there is that innocence of summer that I really enjoy, and I feel as though sometimes it's just glazed over.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you have a week vacation, or 2-week vacation, whatever it is that your family's able to take you on, and you have that. So my family just recently, I didn't go. But my brother's family, his wife and 2 kids, my mom went, I just saw she tuned in. I don't know if she's still listening now, but they went on a vacation up in Wisconsin to a lake.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That they've been doing for a long time. I used to go on it a lot. And then I had a job as I was, in my 20s, which was in an industry. The summer was like the blackout period for vacation because it was so busy.
Yeah.
So I can't do it anymore. So, I mean, things get in the way of that. I don't have any kids now, but I do have a level of appreciation for that time. And I think that is part of it, getting out, enjoying it. If you can, you have to make the best of it, because like mowing your lawn, doing the yard work, like sweating, getting sunburnt. It's like you can put a negative spin on anything. But if you have some appreciation for the change of the seasons, if you're in an area that has that, if you have the family out there, you have young ones, I think it's that kind of that cycle or circle of life where it's like, Molly is now to the point where she's beyond that innocent summertime.
Yeah.
And I actually think that, unfortunately, that's fleeting in general, because of social media now. It's like everything's in your face. So, everything going on this summer or last summer or the summer before, who knows what's going to happen next summer. But it's like people get out and they go crazy.
Yep.
Not to belittle anything that's going on, but I'm just saying, like, you get so focused on there's no escape. Yep. And to some people that they feel as though they maybe we shouldn't have the escapes, you know what I mean? But
I disagree.
I disagree too. I think if you have it, I mean, no matter what your level of income is, what your living situations, I mean, you look back at, even in like the cities and stuff, and like even areas that the best day is a super hot day where the kids are out. And back in the day, I never experienced it, but you see that they would turn on the fire hydrant and it would just be spraying water. You see that stuff, you hear about those stories, and like, it doesn't matter. The community pool was like, it could be a shithole, but just going to the community pool, like the neighborhood pool, was the thing to do for kids.
Yeah,
That's
I was
all they wanted to do.
I was excited if like in the summertime when I was real little, when I still had like a babysitter, they took me to the Groveport pool, which was probably like a 20-minute drive from my house and where they lived. Like, but that was something we did, maybe a couple times during the summer, but that was like always something that, you looked forward to, even though it was crowded. It's like going to a pool. But then when my uncle bought a house and he had an in-ground pool, so my mom's side of the family, because we're so large, in terms of numbers, when every month we have a monthly get together for birthdays. During the summer, we were always at my uncle's house because he had an in-ground pool. So everyone went over to his house to enjoy the pool, and all the kids loved it. The parents would jump in, or they would sit in the swing chairs underneath the deck.
Yeah.
So it was.
I love that. I mean, that's something that, again, it's. I'll say this: there's a lot of people that just don't even want to enjoy. Not that they don't want to, but they're so bogged down with everything. It's like, you get back to a little bit of that if you can.
Well, it's
not just the fact that it's that you are in a sense of that your life, you shouldn't necessarily feel guilty about the fact that you are able to enjoy some time around a pool, have some drinks. Yeah. I mean, we are fortunate enough in this country that there are a lot of people, I would say the majority of people, are able to make the best of their situation and enjoy the little things. And I think that's a big part of it. You talk about the pool. We were just joking about that. I went back to Chicago this weekend for the first time in a long time, but I was in the area. Oddly enough, Kristen's family is right near where I was there when I was there, like as a kid, you know what I mean? And we go back. I remember going back and visiting family, but I mean, at that time I lived in Lisle, which is a suburb of Chicago, and the community pool was the basic pool, right? Like the diving pool, you had the lap one, you had the adult swim, you had all this stuff.
Yeah.
We moved here to Westerville, Ohio, which is a suburb of Columbus, and it was Highlands.
Which is better back then than it is now.
See, I don't know what it is now, but at the time it was so basic. No water slide. It's just like pools, right? Yeah. You had the concession stand, which was like, again, 85, 90 degrees. And it's like, what do I want at the concession stand? You think like popsicles, like cold drinks, nachos. Like, you have the nachos
for 5 cents.
You run out of the chips, and all of a sudden you still have that cheese-ish sauce. And I'm just like sweating as a kid and just like fingers in the nacho cheese. And like, that's now what I'm dipping. I'm not going to let anything go to waste. You know what I mean? Like, that was a memory of mine. We went back to Lisle. We visited some friends. We went back like couple years later, and the Lisle pool now had like this like fake rock structure with like drop slides and water slides and everything else. We felt so gypped as children that we missed that. And then Highlands put in a like that kind of like the tube slide or whatever we thought it was. Well, at the time, going back to the 80s and 90s, right? So at the time, it was like, oh, they put in a slide, and you're like, now we were already spoiled by going back and visiting our old house, old community, and we're like, still sucks. We still had fun with it though. You know what I mean? You still had fun with it. We were playing Little League baseball. That was the highlight. You know what I mean? Just all these positive memories. And I will say that I do feel a bit privileged to be able to enjoy that.
Yeah.
But I also know that in, not the suburbs, in the other areas, I mean, there that almost thing, it's similar to, and I'm not getting into religion, but it's that childhood, kind of naive look at it, is that I'm not saying shoo away what's going on in the world and all these bigger issues, but it's like, at the very least, just walk outside, take a walk. I love sitting on my patio and just sitting there and enjoying that. not everyone's able to do that, but there is whatever your level of that can be, you got to find that. Because if all you do is bog yourself down with the issues going on, you never take a moment for yourself or to enjoy the life that you have. It is fleeting and it'll be gone, and you have not enjoyed a goddamn moment of it anymore because you're just that upset about everything.
It's all about disconnecting. It's like disconnect from that shit and enjoy what you have in front of you. I was gonna say too, there's a movie that I think of, and it epitomizes what summer's all about, is The Sandlot.
I knew it.
Because it's just like every day these kids got up, went straight to they were doing something. They were either like playing baseball or trying to buy a new baseball or pickle the beast or whatever it was. But it, like, to me, that was like the epitome of it. And then like when 4th of July came around, they'd all get together and do that. And then they would go to the pool one day. And then, it's just like there was always something to do every day. And there was no, as a kid, you don't really think about it, but even adults can do this. Like, step away from the politics, step away from what's on your phone, and enjoy what you have in front of you. We did this a couple of years ago. I think we're going to do it in the next few weeks. We're going to go to Burr Oak down in Southern Ohio. And
what is it called?
Burr Oak State Park.
Okay.
Get a cabin and then get up in the morning and rent a pontoon boat all day. And what's great about that is there's no cell phone coverage. So you enjoy what's right in front of you.
Rare these days.
Yeah.
Right?
And you go out and you just live it, man. And we did it a few years ago, and it was the most, I think if anything, it was like therapy for me. It was very just resetting, regrouping, because when you come back to that shit, at least you have a fresh mind and you're not stuck to, look, hon, there's a crane off the starboard bow. I'm sorry, I'm looking at my phone. He's like, fuck that, put your phones away, man.
Charlie Creekmore says slip and slide garden hose was a favorite in the front or backyard. You always had a certain area that
I was jealous of the kids in my neighborhood that had the slip and slide.
My parents were cheeky and just bought a just big fucking thing of plastic and made us do it.
Have you ever
That's what we do at my family reunion down in Kentucky, because the cabin that we have
water.
So
the soap, water,
we don't need,
and a canvas. That's all you need.
We almost didn't even need the soap, because
you need the soap.
For my family reunion, where my family reunion is down in Kentucky around Labor Day in September. The first year I went down there, because the cabin that we do the function at is halfway up a hill. There was the one year where they brought this giant tarp that was about 8 feet wide and 100 feet long.
Yeah, man.
And they had a couple hoses on each side from at the top, and these kids were just ripping down that hill. And then, of course, after about the 5th try, they're like, oh my gosh, now I got to walk all the way back up the hill.
Oh, no. So here's what you do as adults. All right. So here's what you do as adults. And we did this. I've got the 4th of July party coming up. And my buddy, who's on my adult softball team, he's been hosting this up in Morrow County. He's got a nice house, decent amount of land. And he has this party. And we do slip and slide flip cup.
Yeah. I've seen
there you go.
So again, if you're talking about just, letting yourself go, drinking responsibly, and make sure you don't drive. But it's kind of same thing. Big tarp. He has, dish soap and all that stuff. And then he has puts down water. It's not a constant water thing, but you keep doing it in between turns. It's a relay race.
Yeah.
And at the bottom of the slip and slide is a table with flip cup.
Yep.
And it's like a big relay race. So the first two people go, slide down, get up. They drink their beer, a little thing of beer, and then you have to get the flip cup, and you raise your hand, and then the next person goes. Yep. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And as you know, what I found was interesting, again, letting yourself go a little bit and enjoying where you're at in life. There were some people that didn't want to go because they didn't want to be in front of people in bathing suits.
I get that. I get that.
You get it to a point, but it's like
you're missing out.
You're missing out, and you're at where you're at in life.
Yeah.
There has to be a level of, I get people aren't always, I'm not even when I used to play that years ago, that was probably at my peak. So I had no problem going down to, my bathing suit and, having a 6-pack and, sliding down there and, people complimenting me. You find it as maybe motivation, but at the same point, it's like, who the fuck cares anymore?
Yeah.
That's the one.
We're here about to have fun.
You got to remember,
you're there to have fun. And on top of that, it's like, okay, you wish you looked better. So you got a year until the next one. This time around, just fucking do it. Everyone already, no one cares. You're the only one that really cares.
That's the thing.
In fact, you're the only one judging it.
That's the one thing is that a friend of mine told me that was like, when you worry about what you look like, the only person who's worrying about what you look like is you, because everyone else is out there in this situation is to have fun. They don't give a shit about what you look like. They're worried about making sure you flip the fucking cup over.
You got to
If
win.
you're on their team,
You
yeah.
gotta
Like, no
win.
one gives a shit about that.
When Sean first started talking, was talking about the seasonal changes and getting into summer. I think it's funny, especially here in Ohio during the wintertime. We have so many people, like when it's those 10-degree, 20-degree days, when it's snowing, they're like, oh my gosh, I hate this weather. Can't wait for it to be warmer. And then all of a sudden when it's summer and it's 90+ degrees, they're like, oh, this weather sucks. And it's like, you were bitching about it 6 months ago. Like,
that sucks too, but it doesn't matter.
But there again, at least with the pool, if you can get access to a pool, you can go cool yourself off and still enjoy it. Or spray yourself with a fucking hose or sprinkler, something just to. I remember when Molly was younger, we got a slip and slide, and I will relate to Tim Dodge talking about slip and slides. When you get older and you run and you try to jump and slide, it hurts a hell of a lot more than you
That
do.
ground is hard.
Especially if there's a fucking rock or there's a dog shit at the end of the.
You got to
fucking
make
thing,
sure
or-
you clear the field before you lay it down.
That's
You know what I
right.
mean? And if you do find a rock, hopefully that's when you clear that rock. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And your yard's not, the yard isn't that level most of the time, especially down a hill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you have a good hill, that's great. Like I look at my yard and I'm like, the front's kind of like down there, but it's like, you guys know my backyard, like slip and slide. You got to really hurl yourself.
Yeah.
We were doing
You got to
back
get
there.
some speed.
Yeah,
That's
you get some,
absolutely
KY
right.
or something on that thing. Man.
Okay. But I look at all that stuff and it is there's some effort there, right? You do have to put a little bit of effort in there to enjoy yourself. Sometimes you got to force yourself because
Jesus,
what happens?
Slip and bleed from the anus.
Jesus, Tim.
Wow, what kind of slip and slide are you doing, brother?
Well, I'll say this: go head first, and that'll avoid that.
Oh, shit, man.
Jesus Christ.
You
Remember that like slip and slide? It was like you used to just, it was like this commercialized, basically just maybe you had a hookup with a hose and there's like this bullshit, like holes in it that are sprinkling on there, but they don't hit it evenly. Yeah. And then there was like, I forget what it was.
The
like
arch.
Yeah, it was like Gator Alley or something like that.
Yeah, where it had the
that
arch.
Was like that. You talk about being jealous of your neighbors that had like the slip and slide. I was like, we just have a slip and slide.
Yeah.
And then the neighbor, like that next summer has this thing where like you bump up and there's like a little pool at the end that was bullshit. Like you literally go through the pool, but like on the commercial, you're like, oh, this is so great. Like you slide down and you're like, and now I'm in a pool. In reality, if you have a decent hill, you are flowing through that. You hit the bump, you miss the pool. Now you're in the fucking grass and you're just like, you don't want to go again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we were still jealous of that neighbor. Like, well, Dad, can we get that one's so much cooler? Like, you already have a slip and slide.
Yeah.
Right. But like this has a bump. You're like, well, set it up where there's a bump at the end.
Yeah.
Like that was the solution of it,
Well, I remember
you end up on the grass anyways.
Yeah.
when I was a kid living in my childhood home in that neighborhood. Sometimes kids in the neighborhood want to get together and have a squirt gun fight.
Yeah.
And they've got the giant super soakers.
When
Yeah.
they came out, that
Oh,
was
yeah.
amazing.
You had the super soakers, then you had the one where the nozzle would turn,
Like
and,
pumping
like,
this
you
shit.
and then there's me with like the little water pistol.
Yeah. Got to fill it up every 3 squirts.
You got Nate out there doing his like gun thing when he gives an example. He's already like doing this, like he's like doing like barrel rolls and just like coming up and be like, say something.
Something.
No, it wasn't quite like that. No, my biggest thing.
You would now though.
I would now,
Hey, all I need
absolutely.
is this one. You want the super soaker? You want the cannon? I just want this handgun.
No, I'd be asking for the super soaker sniper rifle or
Yeah.
something.
Have you seen the thing with the water balloons where you tie it to a hose and it fills up like 50 gallons?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I haven't bought that.
Yeah, because filling up water balloons is a pain in the
Yeah.
ass.
Real
Whoever
basic.
does
But-
it's
Take
fucking
it back.
genius.
I'm sorry. And I just want to comment. Before the slip and slides, before anything else, I am fortunate enough that, again, born when I was, before all that stuff came out. Yeah, you had slip and slides and all that stuff. When the parents, if they were fortunate enough to have a yard and they put out the sprinkler, that's all it fucking took.
Yeah.
Yep.
literally the sprinkler that just was that sweeping motion.
Yep.
which was made for watering the lawn, not for the kids to play in. But the kids
100%,
were
but,
like,
the parents are like, "This is great. Yeah, go ahead, throw on your bathing suit and just like jump over it." You know what I mean? They're watering the lawn. It's like there's a half hour of entertainment for your kids of just watering your lawn, and these idiot kids are just jumping back and forth, getting wet. Then you have the one kid sitting on the sprinkler, and you're like, "Get off that, Johnny!"
Quit straddling it off
thing.
you. It feels good though.
well, when I was a kid, my biggest thing that I enjoyed about the summer, we had a really big backyard, and we had a 14-foot trampoline. So we had a big trampoline in the backyard, and for whatever reason, my mom was like, you're not allowed on the trampoline until this time in the morning. And I'm like, you're at work 2 hours before that, and there's no security cameras. Like, how are you going to know?
Mm-hmm.
But she made me believe like the neighbors were going to call her if I was out there too
Community
early.
watch.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I would remember as soon as 10 o'clock in the morning hit, I was busting out that back door
Yep.
to go jump on the trampoline for like a half hour to an
Didn't have a
hour.
screen around it like they do
Oh,
now.
we did not have a screen. It was
God, no.
it was 3 feet next to it was a fucking tree stump.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
I never
absolutely.
had a trampoline. That was
But-
a terrible idea. As a
Be-
parent, if I had kids, I would.
Yeah.
No.
Because we had a
Not at all.
trampoline. My aunt and uncle and their kids lived right around the corner, and actually the corner of their backyard butted up to the corner of ours. And so my cousins, they would actually come over, and we'd all jump on the trampoline together. And there were a couple different games we would play on the trampoline, and one of them obviously was, let's see who we can send the highest.
Oh yeah. That's
Oh, yeah.
Do the double jump. Oh, absolutely. But that was a great time. The only time I got kicked off the trampoline was when my sister was still in high school, and she was on the cheerleading team. Because we had a trampoline, like she would invite all the cheerleaders
hell yeah.
over. But then I had
I
to
bet that was a terrible summertime memory for you.
I had to be in the house.
You got little Nate.
tied to a chair. You could let him out.
He's on the fucking
Come
windowsill.
on, man. One jump. Just one fucking jump with the girl.
No, he was just looking at not doing nothing.
No.
Who was your favorite
Yep.
friend?
The other water
Because
fun.
that's old school summertime too as a kid.
Yeah, the other one water thing was like the little pool that was like 4 foot in circumference, and it's about 6 inches deep. It's a big plastic pool.
Like the asylum pool party that Nook talked about doing.
So I had an idea. Go ahead.
No. I just think that's another big thing that, like, as a kid, when we didn't before slip and sliders, if we didn't got sick of sprinklers, you get one of those. And I mean, now everyone gives them for their dogs, but I mean, back in the day, man.
We talked about having a pool party at my
Yeah.
place, and I don't have a pool.
Have like
So it literally was just, getting everyone together, and everyone brings their own little pool like you're talking about, Sean.
Mhm.
And we all just like hang out and drink and grill out, and everyone just like kind of sits in their own little like Walmart pool.
you got 20 adults each sitting in their own
The
individual
only reason
pool
I
with a
didn't do it
beer.
because no one would leave in them. I've got like a bunch of like 6 foot
Burnt
Dead.
grass.
dead piece of grass because no one's going to take their pools back with them.
But everyone has to chip in $10 for Steve's water bill.
Yeah, right.
and seed and gas and grass seed.
Yeah.
Molly, we put one in the front yard for Molly and her friends, and I left it. It was one of those that had like a filter and everything. It was like a blow up one, and I made the mistake of leaving it on the grass for like maybe 5 days, and then I get near it, and I just smell ass, and I realized that the grass was like completely dead, and it was oh my god, it was horrible. So lay sand down or put it in some concrete or something. Don't put it in the grass, Jesus.
So, all right. So
Shut up, Tim.
it's good to have those summertime memories, and I think that a lot of people do. And going back to it is that 4th of July, the fireworks.
Mm-hmm.
Again, even though like I appreciate, I was even one that, and again, I'm not trying to take it down that road, but we were talking about in the shop about that's where I heard about, the city of Columbus is doing this big red, white, and boom again, which is a great.
I haven't done it in the last 2 years.
I understand, but you look at the climate we're in with everything and money being spent, and it's like $500,000 being spent on a half-hour show. Surface level, I think there's a lot of people I'm surprised, and I think there will be people saying, why are we doing this? We have money, because it's just like I don't want to say it's a Scrooge thing, but I also look at it as like you have to look at it as like a big city doing that.
The amount of money they bring in.
Agreed. But even the suburbs, right? I remember in Westerville, we would go to the church where like that was the lawn we'd go to. That was where we
spot. Yeah.
And we knew people, you know what I mean? And no one's making money off of the suburban fireworks, right? This is just, it is that hint, that kind of residual American dream celebration that this, like, I'll say this, like everything that's going on right now, everything that's been going on the last couple of years, I still, and yes, I'm a white male, whatever, but it's like, I still feel that there is a positivity and there's a little bit of that hope and I think foreigners that have come to the country, cigar industry included, especially people that we know in the industry, they look at this as like, it still is the land of opportunity. It's not always easy and not everyone wins. And there are a lot of people in this country, 330 million people. So not everyone has the same life. I could look at it from where I'm at in this house, like, yeah, it must be nice to have, 2 homes and having like Tim's talking about taking people out on the boat. Yeah, it must be nice to have a boat. But you can still find some sense of,
sure,
this is better than a lot of the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say that I like the fact that you can have summertime memories, whether you're in a big city, if you can find, hopefully there's a little bit of, and I know it's not always that easy before people attack me or the show, but I think there's a lot of fond memories that I have going to watch the 4th of July fireworks in the suburbs, the city. And as an older person now, I hate the traffic. I hate, the whole process. I don't have kids, but I just know that just lighting a goddamn sparkler for a 7-year-old
oh my God,
is as if they had fucking magic in their hands.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was 30 to 60 seconds and then it's done. But the way that they dance around with it, they're writing their memory, writing your name in it.
we had a
so hot.
Yeah, or grab one by the wrong end. Yep. We had
a black. Oh no, a black cat. It wasn't an M80, but I had some black cat.
Black cats. Yeah.
I had one of those. Literally, like I went to throw it.
2 1/4 inch. Yeah.
I went to throw it. Got about here.
Pop.
Oh man.
Yeah, I've had one.
Luckily, my hand wasn't closed.
Oh yeah.
But I was like going to throw it, dude, ringing for days.
So I remember my childhood home. We had this great big oak tree in the backyard, and 4th of July around that time when we had family friends over, and all the kids are playing, and we'd light up sparklers. We started throwing sparklers up into the tree to make it look like a big ass Christmas tree in July.
Seems dangerous.
Well, it was green. The tree was green, so it really wasn't going to catch on fire.
Remember just the poppets?
Oh, I was always
some inside.
I was always jealous of the kids that had the poppets. I never had the poppets.
Jealous?
But
they're nothing. They don't cost anything.
I know, but I didn't have a job, and like when we were talking about summer vacations, we really never
get him some poppets.
We never really. I've had them. We're good. But then when I was a kid, we talked about summer vacations. We never really took summer vacations because my mom was a single mother, raising 2 kids, and she worked all the time. So we rarely ever took a summer vacation. But that doesn't mean there weren't ways that we could still enjoy the summer. 100%. And I remember some of the summers as I was growing up. Like my grandparents watched me, and one of the things that my grandmother did was her and I wrote down a bunch of activities on little scraps of paper and put them in a big plastic container. And every day I was over at her house and we were going to do something, we would reach in and grab a piece of paper, and whatever was on that is what we did that day.
Making the best
Whether it was going to a river walk, going to a museum, obviously, like you could tell which ones, the 8-year-old wrote, and you can tell which ones the grandparent wrote.
Yeah.
Like my grandparents writing the ones that don't cost money because I'm a kid and I have no concept of what things cost. So I'm writing down stuff like going bowling, going putt-putting,
buy a
skating.
boat, let's go.
No, not quite like that, but no, it was one of those things that when I was younger, I didn't necessarily understand the appreciation of going on river walks or walking around, the outdoor art museums, going into the indoor art museums. Those were the kinds of things my grandmother wanted to do. I was too young to really appreciate that it wasn't necessarily about the activity. It was about the time spent together.
Sure.
100%.
When I was a kid, my grandma, my mom grew up in Meigs County, which is like Southern Ohio down in the country. And we were in the summer, we'd go down there a lot, and they had some land and stuff. But I remember back in when I was younger, my day, it was
it's fine.
really hard to get fireworks. So, and I remember going down there, and they were right on the river. So we would go to these little general stores. And as soon as I'd walk in, I'd go like right to the guy and go, "Do you have any firecrackers?" Because it was like a fucking hot commodity. And every once in a while, he'd have some packs, and I'd talk my parents into buying them. But I remember going into a general store probably about 5 or 6 years ago out in the country for some odd reason, and the smell of that store and the way the wood floor was, and it just like took me back, man. I was like almost starting to want to look for firecrackers again, because it was it was. But now you go to fucking the Phantom fireworks on the street and get whatever you want, but back then it was like it was so hard to get. So when you got those, it was that much more of a win, and just a great feeling to have. And then we would, what we could blow shit up with, or fuck with my uncle when he was stoking the fire and throw a firecracker in, and him trying to kick our ass when we were fighting. It was awesome.
Well, to tie into that, like when I was a kid, and we do 4th of July with my mother, we'd go down to Red, White, and Boom because she worked downtown, so she was able to park at her office.
It's always nice to have that hookup.
Yeah, you didn't have to pay $20 to park downtown somewhere. So we'd park at her office and walk the 8 or 10 blocks or whatever. Sure. You're going to all the food stands and everything, and then shit, we'd get down there at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Yep. Fireworks don't go off till 9. Yep. And, God bless the parents that had to find something to entertain their kids for 8 hours or something. But then when I would spend those same holidays with my dad, there was one of his friends worked at a furniture place on the south end of town. And like the first few years, you could see the fireworks. You couldn't necessarily hear them, but everyone had, a radio to where you could still hear the music playing with them and everything. Yeah. Then the trees kind of overgrew and you really couldn't see them. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't about those fireworks. It was about all the other shit that we bought that we could set off in their giant parking lot. So all the adults are out there sitting there drinking and lighting off fireworks and mortars, and then we're like, "Oh, cool. Yeah, those fireworks, a couple miles away, those are a lot of fun. All right. What's some other shit that we can set off? What do we have left?"
When I used to work at the airport, I used to be able to get on the roof of our building, right on the runway, and you could see Whitehall's, Gahanna's, Bexley's, and I think Columbus Country Club all at the same time.
Yeah,
it was so. I'd bring dates up there, and I was, "Hey, baby, you want to go see some fireworks? Let's come."
That was your pickup line.
I'll give you some fireworks.
Yeah. Rush the plains land, watch the sunset. Oh,
Sean's firework is more like a bottle rocket, but
so that was a Roman candle.
Shots fired.
More of a sparkler. Like the black snake that just kind of like peters out.
Or the smoke bombs, like, oh, okay, this is gonna make smoke, and we can't see and smell anything.
There's a driving range out in Gahanna that it's called the Golf Depot, and it overlooks the city of downtown. I guess people go out and camp out, like they lay on the driving range and can see that the Red, White, and Boom from there, and then fireworks all around the area too.
Well, people would always camp out at Berliner, the softball fields.
Yeah.
They would always go down there, and that was obviously a traffic nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
But when I lived in Grandview, we had, in the apartment complex we lived in, there were 2 parking garages, and for Red, White, and Boom, a bunch of people in the neighborhood or in the community would go on top of the parking garage, and we could watch the fireworks from there, and then we didn't have to deal with any of the traffic. But it was funny. We could see 315 from where we were.
Yeah.
And as soon as the fireworks start going off, all of a sudden you start seeing a bunch of cars pull off the side of the road,
Yeah.
and they get out of their car on the freeway
Yeah.
Dude,
to watch the fireworks. I'm like, well, that's not safe at all, because you still have other traffic flying through
shit.
there.
no, I know, but I will say that I don't like, maybe rain on this parade a little bit, is people setting off fireworks the whole goddamn week before.
Or the
Yeah.
month.
God
Oh,
damn,
poor
man, like,
dog.
yeah, the dogs. You see that now. We have like the Nextdoor app, you have the Ring app, you have all this stuff, and it's like, were those fireworks or gunshots? Goddamn fireworks! All right, calm down. First of all, like, I mean, yeah, granted, there are some gunshots that happen everywhere, but it's like, I get it. It's like, but just save it for the holiday. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't, especially in the suburbs. A city. You're out in the country, who the fuck cares? But I mean, if you're in the suburbs of the city, don't do it on June 30th.
On a Tuesday night.
Don't do it tonight.
Yeah.
But people just like do it, because that's when they're getting together. It's like, just keep it to the holiday, in my opinion, on that, because I think that brings some special like feel to the holiday. 2020 of all years, that was a year that they did let off fireworks, and I was in this house.
Oh, I came over. Yeah, we saw it.
We met Matt and Abby. Remember that?
Yeah.
They had just moved in. They hadn't even moved furniture in. They were all like on air mattresses and sleeping bags. And so then we're sitting at the end of the cul-de-sac and we're smoking a cigar, having some drinks, bring out camping chairs. We can see the fireworks over here. Now all of a sudden neighbors are coming out and we're meeting them, like the new neighbors.
Fun.
And then Ben and Kylie came out and they were sitting there, and Sean came over and we're having a good night. It's just those types of things. Those are new memories.
Mm-hmm.
I refuse personally, and again, you can talk about, hey, welcome back, Ray. I thought Ray bailed because we're talking about, summer and the 4th of July, but I think I refuse that no matter where you're at, whatever your situation is, there is that opportunity to enjoy those moments, to find the positivity, even with tough times, things that are going on, the political, the social climate. They're still
out there.
They're still out there. It doesn't mean, this last, and again, I'm not trying to take this to a different level here, but it's like the last week, all I see from certain people are just these, they're like their social media. There's no joy, right? Which I understand why, but I'm not going to take anything away from that. But I hope that the big picture can still coincide with the current big picture of what's happening in this country. There's always going to be political, economic. There's always going to be things going on like right now, which is again, I'm not taking it that way, but a couple of years ago, COVID, BLM, George Floyd. Now it's, again, it's worldwide stuff, the Ukraine, the borderline soon to be, recession and, the abortion stuff going on. I'm not trying to take away from that, but hopefully you can do both. You can focus on those things and make sure that we're still doing things that are important to us as far as making the world a better place and fighting the good fight, but respect the fact that it is summertime on the lower end. And then in this country, I understand if people aren't happy with certain things going on right now. I respect that, and I agree with a lot of it. However, with 4th of July coming up, I hope that you can kind of have both hands full. What's going on in one hand, and also the respect that the ability that we can fight these fights in a country that is, in my opinion, great, that you can celebrate that we have the ability to continue to work to better the country, no matter what you feel, where you stand. But the fact that there are countries out there, there are parts of the world that's not okay.
Yeah.
To
To tie in, to the,
I'm focusing on the fact that it's like celebrate the good and not just focus on the struggle. You can do both.
Yeah.
I get that. So you're talking about you before you went into that, you were talking about like the community fireworks and stuff like that. So I remember, every year, my dad and I would go to a fireworks store, and at the time in Ohio, it was illegal to set off fireworks.
Yeah.
So when you went to a fireworks store, you had to fill out a form.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Still do.
You had to fill out a form that you were going to take them out of state. You had to take them out of state within 48 hours, and you had to list an actual address. And
You're
because
not going to let these off.
exactly,
Yeah.
but
Sure.
Cool.
you had to fill out that form. But when it comes around the 4th of July, and people are setting off bottle rockets or mortars in their backyard, like even though at that time when it was illegal to do so, the police didn't care
No,
because
yeah.
it occurred around July 4th, and they understood people were going to be celebrating.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, you guys, just go right ahead. Now, if you're doing that in August, then they're going to get called and they're going to come out. But when you're doing it around the 4th of July, they're like, go ahead, celebrate. As long as you guys don't blow your fingers off.
I agree. You
But
have
they
to have
would- they would
respect.
they'd never have enough time to bust everyone. It'd
Oh,
be
no, I
I feel like
impossible.
you still have to have respect for it, because if my neighbor's setting off like mortars and shit like that, and I wake up and there's a bunch of shit in my yard, I have a little bit of tolerance. But if it's like all of a sudden, like, oh, my roof's on fire because they aren't being safe, they don't know what the fuck they're doing, they just bought a bunch of shit
Sure.
and they hit a lighter to it, and it's like, all right, here we go. I don't like, again, that's responsibility. I would agree with just like anything else in this world, is that you have to have respect for your neighbors, and hopefully for your own property, is that you're not just,
Buying fireworks off of Joe Dirt.
well, you're not setting off, like we're not setting off in my driveway here or the middle of a cul-de-sac, you know what I mean? And all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, you better not call the cops. I'm also sorry the fact that your bushes are on fire, and like your car has a bunch of shit and damage on it because of all the
Ash and
residue.
soot,
Like,
yeah.
I mean, like there's some level there. I just really want to focus on that silver lining of the fact that this is, the idea is to be positive.
And 4th of July aside, I mean, you can celebrate it, you can't, whatever you want, but it's, even if it doesn't, it's summer. It's more than you got all summer. So I totally agree with, there's a time and a place to like fight for what's right and what you feel, but don't let it bring you down to where you go down this rabbit hole and you can't get out of. Whereas you got to be able to manage your time, where there is that time, but then there's a time for enjoying yourself.
Well, I
'Cause
tell
if
you,
don't,
yeah.
you're going to, it's like, might as well be winter.
Well, and it might as well be. I mean, there's no reason to celebrate anything. Again, I think there's a little bit of separation there. I think there's a little bit of
Because then you're Ebenezer Scrooge in July.
well, I think there's, you compartmentalize a little bit to a point, right? It's you have to be able to take the good with the bad, make sure that you are staying focused on the bigger picture, whether it be what's going on right now or whatever has happened or whatever will happen. But you have to have a little bit level of respect that, and I know that the rest of the world looks at the U.S. in a certain light, and part of the U.S. looks at the U.S. in different lights. But I will say that I think that it is something to celebrate. Summertime in general.
Yeah.
Summertime in the U.S. can be, not for everyone, but can be a very good time, as contrast to the wintertime, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Where everyone's at home and shoveling their driveways. It's if it's a sunny day, take the moment to appreciate your surroundings. And the fact that whether you have a lakeside 5-bedroom house, or you're living on the coast and you have a beach house, you have just a house in a neighborhood, you live in an apartment, that you have a roof over your head, that is so much better than a lot of the world.
Yeah.
And I will say there's a lot of positivity in this.
When you guys were, to interject something new into this, since we're talking about summertime, when you guys were kids, did your parents ever send you off to summer camp for a week?
Yeah. I want one.
I went to a couple camps doing Cub Scouts, but that's about it. In church and stuff like that. But no like full blown summer camp.
I didn't get bit by a horse. It was great.
When
Couldn't go swim the whole fucking week because I had a tetanus shot.
Positivity.
I was
great.
when I was younger, probably starting in elementary school through 8th grade, there was a specific summer camp that my mom would always send me off to. And in fact, when my sister was a senior in high school, she was a camp counselor at that same camp for the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And then my summer after my sophomore year of college, that summer, my summer job was a camp counselor.
Just Sean's comment.
Sent me to camp called work.
You know, another
nostalgia.
I didn't. Yeah, my first job wasn't until I was a senior in high school.
Coal mines.
For the older peeps that may recognize this movie or not, another one that's nostalgic for me is Meatballs with Bill Murray.
Yes,
that's another great one.
It's
where
a
it's
terrible
like
summer camp.
It is, but it was. I'll watch if that ever comes.
Remember Heavyweights?
I always watch that whenever it comes on.
Crystal Lake.
I always watch.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, Crystal Lake. Yeah.
Friday the 13th.
I know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go. I like Meatballs a little bit better.
Oh yeah, no, it's a little lighter.
Yeah, it's hysterical. I mean, Bill
Summer
Murray
camp in both. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but Bill Murray was like fucking amazing, and that's one of those underrated movies.
More recently, do you ever watch Wet Hot American Summer?
No.
You ever seen that?
No.
So
Was that the one with?
So there's Paul Rudd, Amy Poehler, there's Bradley Cooper, there is Elizabeth Banks, Garofalo.
Yeah.
This was like
been a while ago.
before they all got big.
Yeah.
And there's a throwback to like this 80s camp. It's like a cult classic.
Mm-hmm.
And it was about a summer camp.
Sure.
They did on Netflix a prequel series, but this is like 15 years later or something like that.
Oh wow.
But they all acted as if they're just shown up. So like
wow.
Paul Rudd, he's ageless as we all know, but he's still that person. I remember like one of the guys, Michael Black was in it, and there's another guy that was in it that, I mean, like in the original, he's like younger. Now he is like probably 50 pounds heavier, but they just showed up to camp before it.
Mm-hmm.
Wet Hot American Summer. It absolutely embodies what you guys are talking about with summer camp.
Yep.
See, the summer camp.
Your Shorts. That was a show as well back on Nickelodeon.
See, when I went to summer camp, like the summer camp I went to had a big lake and we could swim in it. We had this giant, like 150-foot water slide that we could do. When the camp I was a camp counselor at, we had rock climbing walls, we had zip lines, we didn't have a pool. There was no lake or pond for the kids to go to. We had a monster garage camp that I was the counselor in. We had a paintball camp, and like that was a fun time, even though there was some drama between the counselors.
What do you mean by drama?
They keep shooting each other with the paintballs.
Well, I mean, that was part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
What was
like
the drama?
Well, in like the first week, we had one counselor threaten to quit. You had counselors hooking up, even though specifically they're like,
you guys should watch that Wet Hot American Summer.
They're like, don't hook up with other counselors. You're talking to a bunch of college kids. Like, yeah, that's probably
you're isolated and you're
But no, like, but like my favorite weeks were like paintball camp and monster garage camp, where we turned minivans into paintball tanks.
Sure.
Yeah, middle of the summer, working in a garage, you have to wear jeans and long sleeves because you're welding.
But those are memories. That's fun for you.
Yeah.
I did a soccer camp one year where up to Ohio Wesleyan. I actually stayed there for a week and thought it was going to be fun, but it was a goalkeeper camp and it was fucking the hardest thing I ever did in my life. They had us meditating before certain training drills because it was like 3 hours nonstop. I'm like, this isn't fun. I mean, I learned a lot. I got better at playing goalie and soccer and shit, but Jesus, man, it was fucking brutal.
Yeah, I went to a basketball camp at Ohio University. It was like a 4-day weekend type camp, and actually stayed on campus during those times. And gosh, I was in middle school, so like that just felt different than going to summer camp.
Mm-hmm.
Because here I am in middle school, but I'm staying on a college campus for a basketball camp. Like it felt really weird and out of place for me. For some reason, like regular summer camp, I was fine with. It's where it's where I met my first girlfriend ever.
There you go. Never forget that shit. I remember this year, for some reason, I've you guys feel free to make fun of me for this, but I have different ranges of music from rap to hard rock to Air Supply or whatever. But I've been jamming on some Richard Marx lately with Endless Summer Nights, and it's the cheesy 80s shit. But man, for me, that was the shit, man. That was back in the day, man. It was back in high school trying to find beer and get somebody to know how to fake ID and drink and everything.
See, that wasn't my summer.
But this was like early to mid 80s, so no one gave a shit if you drank back then. But I think people still do it now, but back then it was a lot easier to get beer. And
well, I mean, hell, back then you could, take a note from your parents to the store that you're buying beer or cigarettes for your parents. Like, you can't do that shit.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah. Once they found out I did that, the notes went away.
Well, don't stop talking because I came back.
There he is. Don't say anything. Hey, Steve, what's up?
We didn't know if you used that break to come up with something else to interject, or we were still talking about summer camps. And
no, I think it's all positive. I enjoy that. I'm curious where you guys are at now. Like, what does summertime mean to you now? What do we do now? We have all these fond memories. If you guys want to talk about, like,
yeah,
it's not necessarily. I was just thinking about that as I was pissing on the side of my garage. It was.
I think for me now, it's
how do you take that and translate it to, Sean, you have a family, right?
Yep.
So, you've got a wife, you've got a kid,
mm-hmm.
and I got to be honest, I'm not like it embodies a lot of what's going on, what America is now.
So
I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm
no,
just saying,
I have no problem answering.
This is something that you have grown into, and this is your life now, and it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's challenging.
Yep.
And it does embody. I'm not saying you have to explain everything, but I'm like, I love the fact that you and I have a friendship. You're a friend of the podcast, the community, and a lot of people. I've never met anyone that has had an interaction with you that has said anything poorly about you or your family. You guys embody today. And I think that how do you, Sean and Nate, you've got your own, it's just you and Jess, no
Mm-hmm.
kids, but everyone's got their different thing. And I think that's what's so great and tough about our country is that we are as a country, and it's interesting, summertime, 4th of July, to put it in perspective there is that we're just over 200 years old as a country.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that a lot of the world and a lot of the people in our country are expecting a quick fix on a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look historically, that never works.
Well,
so go ahead.
No, you're
fine.
fine.
Where I'm going with
yep,
this.
Nope, I get it. And it comes back to what I mentioned earlier at the beginning of this is that trying to separate from what's going on in the world to being in your own, like being present and being in what you could control. And I work a job where, by the way, shout out to my private jet center people that are listening from Pittsburgh. They're all tuned in too on YouTube, by the way. Love you all.
I've been trying to watch the YouTube comments. They've been quiet.
Yeah, they're just laughing at me on Slack. So anyway, good. So
they say anything about Nate?
No, which is good because they're giving me shit. They're not giving you guys shit. It's good. So, but anyway,
keep it up.
Love you guys.
Feel
free to give us shit.
Yeah. But what I was mentioning though was like there's certain times, like every third weekend I got to work a weekend, and it's a long stretch of days where I got to work. Well, I'm coming off a weekend I just worked. I'm off this Friday, and Teresa's like, "What do you want to do?" I'm like, "I want to go to the fucking pool. I want to finally enjoy a weekend where
What pool are you going to?
It's JC in Westerville.
Oh yeah,
yeah. We got a membership there. It ain't
Old
gone
school.
yet. Yeah, and I love it. It's simple. It's nothing great. It's Highland's packed, so there's always more room to do shit there at those JCs, but it's just that it goes back to in what Teresa really instilled with me and Molly is making memories. And I mentioned in the podcast before where she's done a blog for Molly ever since we brought her home, and every day, if not every week, and there's like stacks of book this high of everything that Molly's ever done since we brought her home. but it still continues on. And so by going to the pool, having, Molly's going to bring a friend probably, and we're going to have fun with them. And then, another week or two, we're probably going to go back to Burr Oak and hit the lake again and rent the boat. And it's just all about, even though it's as busy as I can get and as we all can get, it's finding those times, even if it's not as much as you used to when you were younger, you find those times, take advantage of it and enjoy it. Because when you look back, you say, yeah, I was busy, but at least there were some days in that time where I could go back and look and say, well, you know what? I did hit the pool a few times, went on a little trip, went to the lake, and cherish those probably more than I did as a kid, because they're so few and far between. So that's kind of how I look at it is, even now, like I've been working out more, I've been trying to lose some weight, and I just have like more.
You look great.
Thank you. And I have
the shirt looks great on you.
Thank you, by the way. And I have a different perspective on things. I'm a lot more clear-minded, and now I appreciate a lot more. When you kind of eat like shit, you get in a funk and just nothing really, you're kind of like dull. But now I'm like, my eyes are wide open, and now it's like I want to go out and even walking the dogs. Now it's like I have fun with it, and whatever it is, it's like I try to make the best of what I can, because you know what, as I get older, you don't know what's going to happen, and take what you can get and enjoy it and make those fucking memories. And you can look back and appreciate what you've done in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that in this social climate that we have in this country, I mean, I think it's imperative to look at the people that you look up to, that if they are fighting, to that point, they're fighting the good fight for a lot of like the social issues, the political issues, the civil rights, whatever it might be in this country. Like, we're still growing as a country, and there's going to be ups and downs, setbacks, as we've seen. But even not trying to get into this, but like even our president still goes to their lake house. There is something there that if you're on the other side of whoever the politician that you don't like, you're going to pick them apart. But at the same time, while you're doing that, you're at your vacation. You're doing your thing.
Sure.
There should be a little bit of appreciation, a little bit more of appreciation, that you can have both things going at the same time, and everything in between. You have, in my opinion, and this is me talking as not a parent, but Sean and everyone else out there, Nate, myself, everyone has a responsibility to keep the good times going the best they can while you're doing the good fight, while you're, take away all that stuff. Your job sucks. Your relationships down the shitter, all this stuff. And it's like, you have your ups and downs, but if that's all you have, that's a problem. You have to find the good times. You have to find the good memories, make them. And sometimes it takes a catastrophic event to realize when things are easy, it's very, very simple to get lazy and to not do the good things, because it's easy. It's simple. Everything's clicking. So now you get lazy. When things are tougher, you do more. If you respond in a good way, right? You do more. You try to battle back. You get back up. You do all this stuff. But the resounding part for me is what we're talking about is like summertime and 4th of July, is that you have an opportunity to really keep everything at bay to a point that you can enjoy the time that you have and also work hard.
Yep. I think you really appreciate it that much more when you do work that hard, because you put your nose to the grindstone and you work your butt off. You take that step back for how many days or hours or whatever, and step outside or whatever you do, and you appreciate it. My God, it's so wild to like even now more just appreciate things more than ever. Just simple things, especially when things are hard. And I'll never forget that, man. I mean, especially, and it's not going to get any better, unfortunately. I think things are just going to get worse as time goes on. But
they've been saying that,
but that's out of. But the thing is,
historical.
Here's the thing, though. That's out of our control. You have control of what you want to do in your own destiny. So you don't have to live by what you see or hear things on a global scale or on a national scale.
You don't have to let all the outside factors dictate what you do and how you enjoy your time.
Exactly. So it's up to you to make that change, and it's not that hard to do.
Well, I say this a lot on the show, is that you start with your inner circle, right? You start with yourself, then it's your family or friends or your inner circle, and you branch out from there. I think that is so important, and I also think that it is so looked over, and I've said this recently a lot, is that people are more concerned about strangers that they will never meet, and I appreciate that fight for the greater good and for just the general, I guess, well-being of everyone. But I hope that it's not always at a sacrifice for your own life. And I think a lot of people do frame their lives that way right now, and they have in this country over the last 200 plus years, that I understand that there is a sacrifice to your own happiness for the better good of everyone else. But find those good times. You got to. And if things, I get it when things might be going down a certain path that you see coming, you still got to enjoy. Like you, Sean, like you're the only person on this podcast live in our garage that you have a family. That is a tough battle right now. And I said that because, again, your family is, in my opinion, a great, with all due respect, snapshot of where we're at as a country. And it is not easy, but it is great. And the fact that you have the opportunity as people in my opinion, a great country. Last week we had Pat Adams on, you know what I mean? He, and I was listening to my interview with him on the ATF podcast today, and they do a great job on all of that. And I encourage you guys to check out ATF podcast and the lifestyle and the magazine that's coming out. But it's like over and over again in that interview and our talk with him last week, it wasn't necessarily about I believe in this and you believe in that, and it's a divide. It was the underlying aspect of the fact that it's like we are in, fortunately, whether or not you came to this country or you're born in this country, is that I look at the 4th of July as a celebration of the fact that we're not perfect. And we were never perfect going into this. And we are far from it. And history will show you that no one historically will just transcend through time, that they have no flaws. But it's the constant growing part of it and appreciating the good while fighting that good fight to make that good greater and greater and greater. But you start with your inner circle so that no matter what's going on outside of you, you are surviving to the best of your ability as a core unit, whether it be an individual, as a family, with your kid, your wife, your husband, whatever, or it's taking care of your elders. It's there are some traditional roots in this country that there is taking care of people that are important to you, and do that first before you take care of just, again, the strangers you'll never meet. And I think that's a celebration. Nate, I know you want to say something.
No, you kept dancing around the word that I like to throw out when you talk about that, tertiary.
It's a great word. It's a great word.
It's not on the board, is it?
No, it's not.
No, it's in the crossword tomorrow, though. So remember that.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that I've been enjoying about the summertime, or at least the warmer months, and it's been this way for the last month since Jess and I moved into our new place. We have a covered patio on the back, so
That's awesome.
where we were before, you just had a concrete slab in the backyard. There was nothing over top of it to shade you. You just had one red maple tree in the yard that hopefully that would provide some shade. But if that sun was directly above you, like you're fucked.
Yeah.
But having this covered patio, there have been quite a few nights, and I have to intentionally not spend every night out there because
6 nights a week.
No, I try not to spend that much, but like I was out there the last couple of nights because because it's covered and it's screened in, like I can sit out there on the patio, I can smoke a cigar, I can have a pour of whiskey, I can watch a movie on my tablet, Or if my wife comes out there, we'll just sit there at the table. Maybe she's reading a book, but we're able to enjoy that space that we have, whereas we didn't have that space before, so we weren't necessarily spending that much time outside. We were, because it was hot and there was no shade, we were inside watching TV. Now, we sit outside on the patio at our patio table, and we sit out there, and I'll smoke and drink. Just might have a seltzer or something, but we're still spending that time together where we can actually have conversations instead of spending the entire time looking, at the TV or looking at our phones. That's something I have to make a conscious effort to where even if it is just the two of us and we're not in front of the TV, I'm not spending my entire time, staring down at my phone or staring at my tablet. Like I'm actually paying attention to her.
Yeah.
Now, if she's reading a book, then, to each their own. All right. Yeah. You're ignoring me.
Taking cues from your wife.
Yeah. You're
ignoring.
Okay. You're ignoring me. Cool. That gives me the green light to ignore you. And I'll look at my phone or we just sit there and talk, but
it's a trap,
but we're enjoying it's a trap. But it's enjoying that space that we have that we didn't before.
Yeah.
I just have to make a conscious.
You're fortunate to have that.
I just have to make a conscious choice to not do that every night. Because my wife has to go into the office 3 days a week, whereas I don't. So those nights before, like she wants to be in bed by a certain time, so that way she gets up and she's not dragging ass.
Right.
I can sit there and I can stay up as late as I want because all I have to do is get up and go to my laptop in the morning. So,
yeah. No, I've had that recently, and I respect it. And it's probably for the best. But even like last night was one of those nights that Kristen has stayed over here, and again, I'm on a great reset of starting a new relationship, and she flat out she's okay with us staying up or me staying up later, and we're getting in that. But it is to a point where, like last night, she's like, I'm going to bed. And she says, if I hear that cork pop again, there's a little level of, there's screw top.
So buy a bottle of Benchmark that has a screw top.
No, she listens to this. No.
No, try this, try that. Get
no,
fast.
you keep
Here's your workaround.
You keep the screw
flask down there. No. I'm just saying.
Keep the screw top bottle to the side. So
there's a level of respect there. I'm just. Sure. It was joking.
I know.
But all right. So going into this is part 2. We've gone on for a while. We could talk all night because we probably will or would on camera. We might hear going forward. It's summertime, and things aren't perfect. They're never perfect. This last weekend was in Chicago, as much the same as in Columbus. Like, it doesn't matter where you go in this country, shit's going on all the time. In Chicago, it was a week behind us in Columbus, but it was Pride weekend in Chicago. And it was something huge.
Yeah, it's a week.
Columbus was the weekend before. It was Pride weekend here. There's always something going on. And in the middle of that, it was the Roe versus Wade situation going on. Now you have 4th of July coming up. There's always something going on. And I have friends on all sides of everything, and I respect and also disagree with your viewpoint on a lot of things, but I hope the thing that we can agree upon, that those of us that live in the US, I hope there is something there, that there is this inherent progress that we are trying to achieve with the certain point, agree to disagree, but it's also, you got to frame it right. We were talking about some of these issues before we started.
Yeah.
And it's so much easier to go back to your childhood, good or bad. When you were a child, you could always find good in the summer. There's always the escape. And I hope that no matter how old you are, that there's a little bit of a level of escape to enjoy the sunshine, to enjoy the country you live in, whether or not you agree with what's going on at that moment in that certain arena. But I want to hear from you guys is that as we go in between now and the next podcast, it'll be the 4th of July, the Independence Day, which was about declaring independence from another country.
Mm-hmm.
It was starting anew. And yes, there was a lot of controversial stuff as you look back at history. There's always controversial shit.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to judge your ancestry based on 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 generations back, they're not in the same world as we are in today.
Mm-hmm.
How are you guys, and you guys out there listening, how are you going to celebrate, or what is your viewpoint on Independence Day of 2022? Don't look at him, Sean. You're the guest of honor.
Oh,
Unless Nate, you want to go first?
I'd have to think.
yeah, that's a good question.
Jesus Christ.
Well, I only say that. I only say that because
Another 4?
Maybe.
no, I only say that because Sean's been thinking more heavily or impacted more by what's gone on recently than probably I have. So he probably has a little bit more to say.
All right, I'll say something here. Drink the water. I'll frame this with the fact that I am a big proponent of don't take a step back in history, and also don't overcorrect. And also, if I want to grill out on the 4th of July, I feel very fortunate that I am celebrating the fact that I have good neighbors. I have a good life. I wish everyone had that. I wish everyone had more than I have. But I also understand that life isn't fair. We live in a linear history, and we have to have that as a frame of reference as we go forward in this. That's, if you guys want to build off of that or you want to respond to that.
Well, I guess when it comes to celebrating summertime and Independence Day, I think you can carry it over for something that you've been talking about quite a bit the last couple of years, and it's making yourself better each day. Every time you celebrate a birthday, or every time the country celebrates an Independence Day, like you're striving to make it better than what it was the year before. And one of my relatives had posted something on Facebook the other day about how the last couple of years have changed how we interact with people and our neighbors or our friends or strangers that we come across. And it seems like with what has gone on the last couple of years, people aren't as social or as friendly as they used to be before all the because what's happened the last 2 years has divided us so drastically that I think more now than probably any time in our lifetime, we see more division and more strife. So I think times like this is one of those where you get together with people that you don't have to see eye to eye with on every issue. But you get together and just enjoy the time with those people. So like if you're someone like you recently, Steve, had hosted people over for Memorial Day cookout.
I sure did.
And
It was awesome.
yeah, yes, it was.
Why was it awesome?
For me, it was awesome because it was another one of those opportunities, kind of like the summer. It was a beautiful day. You've done a couple, and the days that we went, it was just everyone was enjoying themselves. It was something different than they were used to doing. It's getting out of the norm.
What? Explain that though. Why was it different than the norm? Like, what would
Well,
you
from
have
the
done that day if I didn't host?
Nothing. Probably just dick around.
So what's the,
But
what
I'm
issue
looking at
there?
is like the past few years, you didn't really have that opportunity to even do something as simple as that. So now that you've experienced that, and then like for me, that was probably the last two cookouts, the first two cookouts I've been to in like 3 years. So I appreciate. I didn't realize
You came to Southie though. You came to Super Bowl party.
Okay, again, just let me finish. All of those things were after the whole COVID, and no one could hang out and do anything. Every one of those things we've done together as a group of people, to me, I enjoyed probably more than I ever had because it was taken away from me, and now it's available to we're able to do it again. And again, it's back to the whole appreciating what you have, and when it's taken away from you, and it is the opportunity to be able to come back to you again to live like a normal life compared to what COVID was like. To me, I enjoyed every fucking second of it because it was being able to interact with people, talk to people. There wasn't politics. There wasn't anything damning about, like, there was no strife. There was no having an issue. It was just all about enjoying that present time together as a group of people that you care about in a setting where you could enjoy the weather, enjoy the sun, and just be yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the whole.
And why did we do that though?
It was a way for people to come together and hang out and just have a good time.
What does it take to get that type of get together?
Well, apparently,
to happen?
It takes someone to offer up their home to have people over. Because I remember late in the night, the first cookout you had, someone had asked, like, what do you think we need to do to be better people? And you had actually mentioned that we just we need to hang out with other people, we need to talk with other people, and stuff like that. And then that person followed it up with, well, what are you doing about that? And you're like, I invite people over to my house every goddamn week for a podcast and have an open discussion on it. Or I have a cookout and I invite people over.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm doing. Like,
so what is that in summary?
It's in line with
what does it take to enjoy life and also get better at it on a daily basis, starting with your community?
Invite people over and have a get together where it's not about the issues that are going on. It's about, hey, regardless of what's going on in our country or around the world, we can still get together and enjoy the times that we have. We can have a party and enjoy that for what it is. We don't have to let all the negativities that are out there dictate every aspect and every minute of our lives.
So
because when we have a get together like that, guess what? When we're done, those problems that existed, they're still gonna be there.
Right.
But at least it was an escape. At least
It was an escape of it, but it was also like, if something like that came up, you could have a peaceful discussion for the most part.
So to get away from echo chambers, what do? You invite your neighbors over. You invite people that you are friends with or you have common hobbies. You put into action all these movements that are happening worldwide and all that stuff, social media, these big rallies, these big protests and everything else. I will put those two together with what I'm saying on the local level, your inner circle. Can you start with your neighborhood? Can you start with your apartment complex? Can you start with your block? Can you start with that? Or do you go into it consistently with an objective of the statement that you want to come across? Or are you going into it with the overall Independence Day, the 4th of July, the Memorial Day, the cookout, whatever it is, it's a goddamn Saturday or a Sunday, and I'm inviting people over, and you don't go into it talking about politics. You don't go into it talking about all the social issues, but you welcome everyone to have a discussion about it and not just get like-minded people and to make, and I say this not like it sounds bad, but make a scene to a point that you're trying to prove something, but you're actually getting after it on a higher treetop level side of it, where you're actually saying it's summer, like we're talking about summer, it's Independence Day. Let's let off some fireworks. And we have to realize that we're all in the same neighborhood. We're all in the same country. How do we make it to a point? The biggest thing is that it's who's organizing it, and it's you that can make that first step of hosting, whether it's in your home or somewhere else or whatever. It's not just calling out the people that are following that mindset. It's, I want to welcome people that think differently, so that we can have a conversation and not agree to disagree, but appreciate why we disagree, and therefore hopefully get a little bit of nugget from you, a little nugget from this side and all these sides. Oh, wait, we have some similarities here. We're never going to agree. 330 million people.
Yeah.
Just not going to be the case.
No.
You can disagree about whether or not you wear white after Labor Day. You know what I mean? It's I'm not trying to make light or belittle it, but I'm saying is that instance that you're talking about, Nate, that was impactful, because I have learned a lot from that person. I've learned a lot from that situation, that these people are in my life. What I loved about it is that was my response, was that I do this every week, better or worse. We do this, all three of us. Sean, you're here every week that you can be, whether you're on camera, you're behind the scenes, whatever, you're part of the community page. And I invited people to my house to enjoy the fact that, for better or worse, no matter what you could be fucking 100 grand in debt. You could have 100 grand in savings. But when you're there, whatever you believe, we're still enjoying the fact that we're in this country, in this world. We're still people. That's what's lost. So what do you do? What do you do about it? We're all sitting here on my fucking patio, and you're able to ask me this question. I'm able to respond. I'm not trying to sugarcoat. I'm not trying to tell you. I'm not trying to offend. You're here. That's the first step.
Yeah.
And there was no qualification. There was no cause. There was no nothing. It was simply the fact that you're here, and we're able to talk about it.
But I agree with you on that. And I think the reason I go back to COVID, because we were so separated from each other for such a long period of time that created even a stronger division between people and what they believed in, because we weren't faced in front of them. And so when you're alone and you're by yourself and you're with your whoever, things can start to compound. But I think by you having people over, where it was finally able to do that, it opened up so much light on everyone to be like, you know what, just fucking relax and enjoy yourself, enjoy your company, the company you're with. I will say, Teresa, she spent some time with a couple of your multiple friends of yours, and came home and was like, man, these guys are really fucking cool. I really enjoyed conversation, but we didn't have that for almost 2 years straight. We were locked inside a fucking bubble. And now we came out and we're able to like spread our wings and, all differences aside, just enjoy company, people in your presence. I think people as a creature of habit want to be with other people. And I think that not having that for so long grew to make you really appreciate that once you're able to do it again.
So I got a comment here. Love the guy. Let me find the comment up here.
Probably should have been drunk.
Yeah, it's fine.
But I don't,
It happens.
if I get too deep or say something bad,
We'll edit it out from the live feed.
Okay. Sounds good.
No one's watching anyways.
We have 6.
No. Let me see this here. Is that it? Yeah. So Sean, I love Sean Anderson. He says, of course, I think Steve works the hardest not to get canceled out of all the folks I know. You know, Sean, I'll say this, and that's exactly what I was just talking about, is my background, just from things I studied as I got older, in my, like, not older, but in college, was sociology, and I got him. Yeah, I'll address this. There's a lot of people that don't like what I have to say. I follow, as I've said before, Twitter, social media, Instagram, Facebook. I have friends that I see their Instagram stories, and I don't get triggered, but I want to say something, and I realize that that's not the venue for it. I've had conversations in my home. I've had conversations at the shop. I've had conversations through social media. What I'll say this is that I take pride in the sense that I don't agree with everyone. And what the biggest thing I've learned in the last probably 5 years is that as a white male in this country, when I say something where it's like, my old stance was, with all the stuff that goes on, all the hot topics, is that I don't care, is because initially it was like, I don't see it. I used to say, I don't care about race. I don't care about gender. I don't care about your social or sexual or whatever it is. I was taught growing up that I shouldn't see skin color. I shouldn't see sexual orientation. I shouldn't see now gender. I shouldn't see social class. I treat everyone equally. I now know that I don't care what you are is not the way to say it. Is I respect how you are, who you are, and what you think. I also ask, and I know that it will not be returned, that you don't care. Not you, Sean, but people don't care. That's the term of echo chambers. As we go into this, is that, like the 4th of July, is that I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And if you come over to my house, I don't care what orientation you are. I don't care what gender you are. I don't care who you love, what you worship. I will say this, is that as long as you're able to have a conversation about bettering everyone and respecting everyone's opinions, their stance on life, who they are as people, if you're an asshole, you can't have another beer and you're not welcome at my house. If you're respectful and you want to have a conversation about something, if you want to be on the show, if you want to deal with anything, it's not about being canceled. I think the whole canceling is bullshit in general. I will say that if you are a respectful person and we disagree, and if it's that level that we disagree to a point that we can't be friends and you are not wanting to come back to my house, that's okay. There's enough people in this world that you can have a great social life. But I will say that I want everyone to have the same rights, whether or not I agree with your life and where you're going with it. But if you look down on or you take away the rights of any individual in this world and you give a different chance to anyone, not talking about linear history, then yes, you're not welcome back to my house. You can't have another beer. But if you are one of any gender, you're one of any background, you're in one of any political stance, no matter what you do, if you're respectful, you can have another beer at my house. And it's on me. So That's what I'll say to that.
I like that.
You can always I will crack the beer for you. I'll pour the drink. I'll light the cigar. You don't do any of that stuff. I'll make sure that you have a comfortable seat. You're always welcome at my house. But if you disrespect anyone to a point that you are angry and you put someone else down, or you put physical harm towards someone, you are no longer welcome at my house until you make it right. You can cancel me all you want. I do this show. Nate's been a part of it for a long time. Sean's been a part of it for a long time. I've done it for 4 years. Still doing it. I don't care what the viewers are. This is the core of what we do. And you are all welcome, Sean included. All right, that's my closing remarks.
I think we're good there. I mean, how else
Cheers.
Enjoy the summer. That's my closing remarks.
I mean,
Happy 4th of July, everyone. Enjoy your black snakes and sparklers. Cheers, everyone.